Okay. Hi. Not many people are here yet, but I started very early and I'm also still streaming in the morning, so I'm just gonna go. But first I have to give a spiel again. Two things about how this is gonna go. One, I am already extremely familiar with the Ace Attorney franchise. I've watched all of the games. I didn't play them myself, but I have been, quote-unquote, replaying Ace Attorney 4 because I physically have it. The stream will be on an emulated version, but that's because it's really hard to put fucking DS games into stream. It's hard to stream DS games, so this is the easier option. I would have had to buy a bunch of tech. I'm not going to do it. Sorry. But that does mean that I'm worried I might have technical problems because I've never done this before. I stress tested the game. I do have a copy, it's fine. I stress tested the game yesterday by way of screen sharing it on Discord while also recording it at the same time. And I had some problems, and then I more or less fixed those problems. I'm going to have audio crackling, and that's just going to happen, and I'm very, very, very sorry if you hate that, but it's just going to happen. I tried to get rid of the worst of it that I was having at the beginning of the game. The opening cutscene of Ace 34 was a little bit of an audio nightmare. It's just like that. It just sounds like that, so I'm not surprised that that was crackling. But I was getting some crackling in, like, the first trial. I played a little bit of it, and I was like, okay, can I fix this? I seem to have, but I wasn't testing that while streaming, so there is a high possibility that it might fuck up while streaming. And if that's the case, then we'll slide into some technical difficulties, and I'll need everybody to bear with me while I bumble about and not know what I'm doing. If I can't fix it and it's not too bad, I might just go ahead and keep going and try to fix it for next time. But if I can't fix it and it's bad, then I'll swap to a different game. Or I might swap to art if I feel like doing art. I'll find out if that's the case. But I'm hoping... Knocks on my desk that is made of wood. I'm hoping that we won't have any problems and it'll be fine. Again, some minor crackling is to be expected because it's simulation. It just happens. But hopefully it won't be too bad. Was something else. Oh yes, even though I've played the game before, I'm going to expect everybody to not post spoilers in chat. Be polite. Do not post spoilers in chat. Do not do it. That's my rule. Don't do it. I know what's happening. I'm gonna ask that nobody else... No one put spoilers. Just because I know what's happening doesn't mean you're allowed to say it. Just don't do it. Because there might be people that don't. There might be people... watching and not chatting that have never seen it before, and there might be people watching the VOD that have never seen it before, and I would like to keep their experience pure because Ace Attorney 4 is my favorite Ace Attorney game. I like it a lot, and I want people to have a good experience with it. Is there anything else? Oh yeah, as I expect most people know, Ace Attorney has no voice acting in it. The newer games have like cutscenes and stuff. I don't remember if they're voice acted. Yes, they are. But Ace Attorney 4 doesn't have those. Ace Attorney only has voice acting for, like, the objection and hold it lines. That's it. That's all it has. So, that means that my voice is going to run out. It's just going to. And I'll ask that you please be kind and patient with me about that. I don't want to be coughing and hacking either. It just happens. I'm not in pain. It's just what my voice does. So, yep. I think that's everything out of the way. I am going to... pull the game up, and we're going to everybody cross your fingers that I'm not going to have a technical problem and it's going to be fine. The opening cutscene is very bad, but we'll find out. Let's find out. I should be reading the text. You lose. Ah! Okay, that's where it started popping a lot really bad, so that's a good sign. Ooh, that's a really good sign. Okay, it's behaving the way it was in my testing. Also, let me know if the game is too loud. The cutscenes are so good. I seem to be in a bit of trouble. Something like that. Dead. Someone hit him. Hard. Me? Please. The cops should be here any minute. I'm in your hands, should it come to that. Awesome, good. It seems to be good so far. Knocks on my desk again. Yeah, because in my initial testing of that cutscene, it was just only cracking and popping, and it was like, ooh, this sounds bad. It sounds like I just poured a bowl of Rice Krispies. Panicked, palms sweaty. I can admit it, I'm nervous. Good morning. Good morning, sir! You look tense, Justice. Wound up tight. Yeah, the painting of the judge is really... Wound up, sir? No, I'm loose, I'm fine! That screeching noise, is that your voice? I suppose it's to be expected. Your first trial, and it's a homicide. I guess justice doesn't start small, eh? I'm fine! I got up at 5 AM today to do my Chords of Steel voice workout. I'm fine! That explains it. I did detect a certain rasping quality to your speech. I overdid it again. As you know, your client today is a good friend of mine. I wouldn't want to let him down, if you get my drift. Drift gotten, sir! I'm all over that drift! As it happens, I dined with him the night of the murder. We can't let this case fall through. Yes, I'm fine, sir! One more thing. Don't say you're fine quite so much. People might take you the wrong way. I love Apollo so much. I'll be preparing our case. You might want to introduce yourself to the client. God, having 2 moderators is maybe very excessive, but I don't think I can access that menu here, so... Sorry to anybody in chat, please don't be intimidated by there being 2 moderators, it's just because that I have no brain. My name is Apollo Justice. If it isn't clear already, I'm a new attorney. And today is my first trial. Not that I worry or anything! The defendant has been accused of murder. My boss wants to help him out, of course. And so do I! I mean, there's no way he did it. Not him, no way! Whoa! Good, morning! Morning. It's all up to you today. First trial, nervous. Meeting him, cardiac arrest. I think I was supposed to say something. Help? So you're... Fine! I'm fine! Ah, Mr. Fine, is it? I did remember having you... Whoa, you having an odd name. Well, we're off to a great start. Are you sure you're okay? I mean, with me? Mr. Gavin is a top-notch defense attorney. And he's your friend, so why... You'll see. Eh? You can do it. Be confident. I'm really sorry this happened to you. I mean, It's time. Shall we? Yes, sir! Let's go. Okay, I need to focus. First trial, here comes justice! Also, I have a new water bottle, so there's a chance that I might cause a big disaster mess, and if that happens, I'm sorry. Court is now in session. The prosecution is ready, Your Honor! The defense is fine, I mean ready, Your Honor! Mind going blank? Don't panic. Too late! Your name was Mr. Justice? And this is your first trial? Yes, Your Honor, but I'm fine, really! Are you quite sure? Your voice sounds a bit strained. Mr. Gavin? Oh my god, yeah, at least Apollo doesn't have to defend Larry. Yes, Your Honor? I was under the impression that you would be heading up this case. That was my intention, yes. However, a defense attorney must always see to his client's wishes. And my client specifically requested Mr. Justice. Well, of course he wants justice. But to entrust this case to a greenhorn, why? I do not exaggerate when I say that you're the best defense attorney in town, Mr. Gavin. Okay, so Gavin's got trial experience, fine. But does he have cords of steel? Goober. Let's begin. The defendant may enter the courtroom. This is truly an unfortunate turn of events. I'm sorry we had to meet again under these circumstances. Long time no see, Mr. Wright. Let's put the past behind us, shall we? These days, I'm really Phoenix Wright, piano player. Mr. Wright, how could this have happened? I won't speak of it further then. If the prosecution would be so kind as to explain the charges, Mr. Payne. To think I saw you enter this courtroom a French attorney, and now also have you in chains. Bleh. Ah, Winston Payne. Subtle as ever, I see. The crime occurred at the Borscht Bowl Club, a Russian restaurant. The defendant, Phoenix Wright, took the victim, a customer, and he hit him! Wham! On the head! Smack! Killed him cold! A customer at the restaurant, you say? And the defendant, you say he was... the pianist for the club, it seems. Phoenix Wright. A pianist? This is the weapon that took the victim's life. A bottle of grape juice. I am trying so hard not to do papyrus right now. I might end up doing papyrus. Grape juice is apparently our defendant's drink of choice. The court accepts the deadly bottle as evidence. Wow. Something to note, Justice. All evidence is filed in the court record. Make a practice of checking it frequently. The court record. Right! I've heard of that! Use the court record button to look at the evidence so far. I'm confident in your ability to handle this. Okay, it sounds like papyrus. Maybe I'll just lean into it then. Right, the court record button. Sounds like it's time for some hands-on action. Let's take a look. Oh. Fuck. My attorney's badge. One of my possessions. How long did I yearn for one of these? Just putting it on makes me feel ready. Okay, Apollo. Ooh. I don't actually know. I didn't look. I'm fooled that I am. I didn't look at the fucking keyboard controls. So we have to do this manually. Ooh. Oh, look at that. Fuck, where am I? There's a number inscribed on the back of this badge. There are many numbers like it, but this one is mine. Proof that I'm an attorney. I use 29003. Tell the truth, I get a happy feeling inside just looking at it. Okay. Yeah, 3D attorney cookie. So, the victim was a customer at this restaurant. But just who was this, Shady Smith fellow? We believe he was a traveler, Your Honor. Traveler? According to his passport, he had been out of the country for a number of years. He'd only returned to this country recently, though his place of residence is unclear. And he had some sort of connection with the defendant? That, too, is unclear at present, Your Honor. We believe they first met at the Borscht Bowl Club on the night of the crime. If they'd only just met, then why murder? Perhaps the victim has slighted the defendant's piano playing. That doesn't appear to have been the case. No, the motive had nothing to do with the defendant's lack of playing skill. At least not piano playing. I'll let this photo explain what I mean. So we can see, a game of poker was in progress at the scene of the crime. Wait a second! Isn't poker gambling? That's a crime in and of itself! Indeed. It appears a defendant has fallen to become the basest sort of criminal. It is true that the defendant was engaged in a game of poker with the victim. Yet it was only that, a game, in the purest sense. A competition, Your Honor. A competition? Yes, a test of wits, a silent class of passions. It's my headcanon that the badges are just cookies. Only the cards, their back wreathed in blue flame, know its final outcome. Come again? The cards on the table had blue backs, Your Honor. I believe the defendant was waxing poetic in an attempt to mystify those present. And impress women. That will be our first order of business here, then. To find out more about this fatal game of cards. Very well, defendant. You will testify to the court about the poker competition held the night of the crime. My pleasure. This is it, my first trial. Here goes nothing! Well, let's do it. I'm a pianist by trade, yet I can hardly play at all. My real job is to take on interested customers over at the poker table. The room where we play and the competition in there are the club's main attractions. The rules are simple. We play a game of poker using 2 decks of cards. That's all it is. A game. And our customers are happy. Our first point of order to impress women. A pianist who can't play piano? Better than a defense attorney who can't defend. Very well. The defense may begin the cross-examination. Right, Your Honor! My first cross-examination! Don't blow it! Are you alright? You're sweating bullets. Bullets? Where? It's a figure of speech, Justice. Your voice sounds strained and raspy, too. My brain feels strained and raspy, sir! You've watched me perform cross-examinations many times. Though you've never done one yourself, have you? Care for a refresher? Let's do. Should I ask Mr. Gavin for a refresher course in cross-examination? Let's do it! Let's have a tutorial. Better safe than sorry, especially this early in the game. Yes, teach me! I know nothing! Indeed. Your job, Justice, is to be mindful of the court record and the testimony. Look for inconsistencies in the testimony with what the court record tells you. When you found an inconsistency, that's when you present the conflicting evidence from the court record. But I didn't hear anything strange at all in the testimony just now. A good sign that you need to press the witness for more information. Press him? Don't let the fact that he's a remarkable man hold you back. Get more information. But isn't Mr. Wright my client? Well, think you can do it? Yes, thank you, sir! I think I can do it. I think you'd better, or we're going to have a problem. Just remember, find any inconsistencies, any lies in the testimony, and remove them to the court. That is cross-examination. Learn it, know it, do it. Consistencies? Lies? Phoenix Wright? As if! Phoenix Wright would never lie, and it's up to me to prove it. The defense may begin the cross-examination. Wow. Pianist by trade. My job is to take on interested customers over at the poker table. That sounds like information. They pay you just to play poker? Live it, love it, fuck it. That would seem to be the case. I'm a professional after all. Ah! Do I detect pride in that statement? It's just hard for an honest, hard-working member of society like me to imagine. Yes. Your imagination was always a bit limited, Winston. What? I've played poker for 7 years in that little room. And I've never lost once. But you see why the customers come now? Defeat the undefeated poker champion. It's quite a draw. That is, I'm quite a draw. Wait, you've never lost once? Not even one time? As I said, I'm a professional. He's played poker for 7 years and not lost once. Is that even possible? It does sound bonkers. Club's main attractions. The room in the crime scene photo is an attraction? It has quite a history, actually. Excuse me. The Porsche Bowl Club used to be a gathering spot for black market types back in the day. Black market? All in the past. Things like the black market are only on the silver screen nowadays. Suffice to say that there were a lot of deals being made under the table. Right there in that room. A smoky room, gambling hoods, you know? Just looking at this picture makes me feel bad! Bosses gather around the table, cutting deals, safe from the eyes of the law. Meanwhile, a goon keeps watch through the small window. I can practically picture it now. That window does look like it would be good for keeping a lookout, but a little else. The room had a few other tricks to it. It was common knowledge to our regulars. At any rate, they come to play poker in a room steeped in history. Despite the dark past, it was all just good, clean fun. Play a game of poker using 2 decks of cards. We only have no deck. I think Kane only brought out 1 deck though. 2 decks of cards? A simple measure to prevent cheating. If you alternate 2 decks, no one can slip in cards. There's something else I noticed. In addition to the cards on the table, there are some lying scattered on the floor. Precisely. Cards on the table, cards upon the floor. Each one forming a complete deck. A crime scene painted blue by a sad sweep of cards. It's poetic, really. Incidentally, we use 2 types of cards at the club. One deck of cards was red, the other blue. As I recall, in poker you make 5-card hands. I can see how it would be easy to cheat. Yes, a game of hands. This competition you're talking about, I believe the court understands the nature of the game sufficiently. That's right! It was a simple game, after all! Are you sure? People are not murdered over simple games, Mr. Justice. Defendant, you were in the room the very moment that the crime occurred. You claim no connection to the crime? Now that's strange. What's strange? I was testifying about the competition last night. Asked me, not last night, that night. Asked me about the crime at this point is against the rules, Your Honor. Of course, I expected to hear a cry of objection from the defense. I completely let that one slip by! Don't despair yet, Justice. Sir? Right? There's something I'd like made clear. Namely, your connection to the case at hand. And I'd like to hear it from you. Sure, why not? Very well. The defendant will amend his testimony. Just one little press. And I've got myself a whole new testimony. Fucker. Plead silence regarding the murder, but I will say never touch the murder weapon. Silence? The defendant has the right to refuse to testify. I haven't forgotten everything about the law. But why? That clearly puts you at a disadvantage. And it's your job to turn that around in our favor, yes? Great. Like I didn't have enough to do already. Justice, didn't you detect anything odd about that testimony? Huh? Wait, something he said did ring a little strangely. Just one thing. Now, what was it? When you figure it out, I'd suggest presenting evidence. Evidence that contradicts the testimony. Contradiction in Mr. Wright's testimony? But why? I'd better check the court record. I can't imagine Mr. Wright lying in a testimony. Isn't it a little early to be jumping to conclusions? This is your first cross-examination. Take it slow. If you need more information, don't forget to press. Right! I got it! I'm fine! Time to listen to that testimony again. Now, we're gonna look at the court record. Damn it, it disappeared. But I can still observe evidence. Yeah, it's the weapon. The grape juice bottle used as the murder weapon bears the defendant Mr. Wright's fingerprints, which is a contradiction. Come here, Mr. Wright. Up here. I need to look up the keyboard controls. So you say you didn't touch the murder weapon, this grape juice bottle? Right? So I said. Something the matter, Mr. Justice? Hee. Too bad our new defense attorney never learned how to play dumb. What's this, Mr. Payne? I examined the bottle in question, you see. And it was covered with the defendant's fingerprints! Follow. No need to shout, Mr. Justice. I can hear you just fine. Excess yelling can damage the judge's ears and our case. But what about my cords of steel? Anyway, what's so strange about fingerprints on a bottle in a restaurant? Well, that's true. The prints alone don't prove he did it. Oh, they wouldn't prove a thing if they were normal fingerprints. Huh? But the fingerprints on the murder weapon were upside down. Upside down? What does that mean? It means he was holding the bottle inverted. And there can only be one reason for that. Thonk. Yes. To brain someone with the bottle. Ah! Mr. Cabot, I think things took a turn for the worse. Oh? I see no problem, Justice. Ah? The only thing that matters is the truth. There's a good reason for everything, you'll see. Defendant! Can you explain your fingerprints on this bottle to the court? I stand by my plea of silence regarding the matter. For now. Not very cooperative, are you? This could hurt your case. I'm sure he's uncooperative because he's hiding something. There must be a reason.
Objection!
Your Honor, you seem to have forgotten something. And what might that be, Mr. Gavin? On the night of the crime, who was it who reported the murder to the police? Reported? Well, that was the defendant, Mr. Wright. But still, that... Really? Yes, well, according to the case file, the murder was reported from near the scene by a call from the defendant's cell phone. Near the scene? Let's take a look at a diagram of the murder scene, shall we? The victim was murdered in a small room in a basement 2 floors down from the ground level. Of course, cell phones can't get reception that far down. The defendant used the stairs in this hallway to go above ground. The call came from the first floor of the restaurant. I see, and this is the phone that made the call? Right, it's fucking Nokia cell phone. The defendant could have just fled the scene of the crime if he so chose. Yet he fulfilled his duty as a citizen and reported it to the authorities. And you claim he is being uncooperative? Nice save, Mr. Gavin! I'd better not waste this! I think the prosecution has toyed with our client for enough for the time being. Toyed? I assure you, no one is more serious about... What was it you said? The defendant was in the room the very moment that the crime occurred? How can you possibly know this? That's a good question! How indeed? The answer is simple, Your Honor. The prosecution has a decisive witness. Hee. You're as good as they say you are. So someone else was in the room the night of the crime. That must mean they witnessed the crime. Everything up to till now has been a warm-up, Justice. Are you ready? Very well. The prosecution may call its first witness to the stand. Oh boy, here we go. I'm going to try very hard not to do it. The witness will state her name and profession. Hold on just a moment. Where's the witness? I surmise that she has been frightened by the defense's demonic-looking horns. So we used a little hair gel. Relax, people. Have no fear. Any horns pointing in your direction in this court, If any horns point in your direction in this court, we will cut them off. You are sure? I swear it on my gavel. Please, come out. Isn't violence against her a crime, Your Honor? Well, if you are sure it is okay. Now, the prosecution... Wait a minute! The prosecution care to explain the witness's... paraphernalia? Yes. She is a professional, Your Honor. Those are merely the tools of her trade. And that would be... My name is Olga Orly. I'm employed as waitress in Borscht Bowl Club restaurant. Then why the camera? Of course, it is my pride to serve borscht at that is naming restaurant. But I also perform, how it is said, other service. I take it one of these other services is taking the customer's pictures? Ah, duh. Like, for example, this one. That's the defendant? Indeed, on the night of the murder, the man in white hat is one who has gone kaput. Indeed, that is the victim. Uh-oh. Order! This is quite a piece of evidence to casually drop into our laps. It is the same way as I drop cold bowls of borscht in laps of customers. Casually. And the court will casually accept this new evidence. What's borscht again? Is it like a beet soup? It's like beet, isn't it? I think. Now, witness, where were you at the time of the murder? I was in room, the hideout we call it. Excuse me? The hideout? It is room where famous gangster bad guy was arrested. It is room where murder took place. What?! You look a better surprise. It is lovely. I will post my courtroom door later for you. Photos will be numbered, and you will write which ones you want a copy of. So there were 3 people in the room at the time of the crime. I think it's me. Anyone want to look it up for me? The victim, Shady Smith, Mr. Wright, and... Olga Orly, our witness. I know Mr. Wright isn't the killer, that means... Very well, witness. You will testify to the court about that night's events. Ah. That night, customer asked me to deal cards for game. It was cold. Both players played with hats on, nah? The victim, he plays whole time with his hand unlocked at his neck. Then, last hand is done, but something terrible has happened. Duh. That man flew at victim and is strangling him to death! Incidentally, who won the game? Isn't it obvious? The winner was the victim, Mr. Smith. Yes, just soup of beetroot. Okay.
Objection!
That's ridiculous! That's ridiculous! Because Mr. Wright can't lose! Justice? Maybe you can come up with a more legitimate objection? But he hadn't lost in 7 years! Take it from me, kid. It happens. I didn't lose a case my first 7 years as prosecutor, either. Incidentally, I have some evidence here. These are the poker chips that they lay the very moment of the crime. These are fucking huge. The hand and chips on this side belong to the defendant, Mr. Wright. Those on the far side belong to the victim, Mr. Smith. Chips, you say? Ah, I mean, yes. Imagine that poker is war. Your hand is your army, and the chips are the spoils. I know that. After all, in my youth, I was known as the poker head of courtroom number 3. I think he means poker face. Looking at this picture, it does seem that most of the chips are on the victim's side of the table. Chip photo. I haven't been looking at anything. Let's look at these photos. We got the crime scene. Wow. Borscht's beaten potatoes and sour cream if you care for it. Oh, okay. Olga's photo. Let's look at it. Defendant Mr. Smith at the club. Touch the button. We're looking at him. The snow is very... Chips. Pretty clean stack of cards for his crime scene. Oh right, the profiles. Yeah! Let's read these. Christoph Gavin, age 32. Boss at Gavin Law Offices. First-rate defense attorney and my trusted mentor. Phoenix Wright, age 33. Oh god, I forgot he was like a year older than him. Pianist at the Borscht Ball Club, formerly an ace defense attorney for some renown. Shady Smith, unknown age. Victim in this case, traveler only recently back in country. Winston Payne, age 61. Prosecuting attorney. For all his experience, he lacks a certain presence. God, his hair is so bad. Olga Orly, age 21. The witness in this case, Russian waitress at the Borscht Ball Club. Okay. Ah. Wait, I want to look at his cell phone. Ah, where am I? It's just I love it, it's fully just a Nokia phone. How do we know this wasn't the murder weapon? Okay. Let's cross-examine the witness. Deal cards for game. Cold. Played with hats on. Plays full time with his handles locked at his neck. Let's ask why. When's... I think that AA4 is taking place in 2026? I think it's 2026. It's either 26 or 27. It's not... Or wait, what is it? Yeah, because I think AA5 takes place in like 2028, or maybe AA6 is 2028? I don't remember. I was literally looking at the timeline yesterday. No, that's right. AA6, it takes place in 2028 because I literally noted that the final event of Ace Attorney happens in like September 2028, and then the kickoff for both VLR and ZTD takes place December 2028. The world only knew peace for like 2 months. His locket? I believe it was good luck charm, nah? He gripped it many times as he played that night. Yes, he must have felt as though it might carry him to the moon and the stars. You still buy Nokias and use them. They specifically released some 4G compatible ones the last 2 years. Really? I didn't know that! You can still buy a brick? Fuck yeah! If If it were small enough to fit around his neck, it wouldn't have much lift. The defense would like a clarification. This is a locket we're talking about? I mean, a pendant with a picture in it, right? Not a rocket? Of course I knew that! It was probably a pendant shaped like a rocket. That's why she called it that. No, a locket's a locket! It doesn't matter what shape... It's considered bad form to poke fun at the heart of hearing in our society. Heart of hearing or heart of understanding? So, what happened next? Last hand is done, but something terrible has happened. What's the terrible thing? Something terrible?! Ah! The defense will refrain from needless shouting! Sorry. I need to seriously reconsider this vocal training thing. Now, Miss Orley, can you tell us what happened? Oh, I was so frightened. I remember I trembled with fear. The man flew him and is strangling him to death. Oh, Nokias are like 50 now? Wow, wow. I'd say that's expensive, but it's not for phones. Is it still a brick, or is it like a smartphone Nokia? The defense would never do such a thing! Ah! Well, now, I can't say I've ever heard the defense try this tactic. If possible, please, refrain from embarrassing me. Still, why would anyone do something like this over a game of poker? Still a candy bar. Oh, fantastic. Perhaps it is because the defendant lost game? Yes, a crushing defeat for a man undefeated. So it always is with men like him. Winners make sore losers. Oh, how the mighty fall! Go ahead. I believe you know what it is you need to do. Right, sir. Leave it to me! There were only 3 people in the room that detected the murder. The victim, Shady Smith, Mr. Wright, and if Mr. Wright isn't the killer... I've got you now, Orley! Well, I know what to do. Because... let's look. Which one? Nope. Not yet. Oh, no. Running up to the Ace Attorney thing already, I know what I need to do, but I don't have that evidence yet! Is it this? It's already April, how could it be cold? At Forest Book Club, we have prided on authentic restaurant theme. Outside it is city in spring, but inside it is always cold as Mother Russia. No way am I going there! When it comes to hot borscht, cold is best seasoning, huh? She only fucking... Okay. Okay, this is gonna be a problem. Okay. What's the terrible thing? I already asked that, didn't I? Yeah, I did. Oops, sorry. Sorry, ma'am. Sorry for screaming. Your Honor, his head just did that! Yeah, that wasn't the method of murder. Whoops. Well, the defendant would never- oh, well, we did that. Damn it. Ack. I'm supposed to present, aren't I? Okay. Ace Attorney is a good game. I do have a health system. That's not it! Nope, yep, penalty. Ah! Present the bottle? Nope. Okay. I'm gonna quickly look up what the fucking... Yeah, not hearing the music stop is the worst. I'm gonna quickly look up what my key controls are here. I also don't know if... I don't know if you're allowed to... I think I know what open, I'm not sure. Yeah. I don't remember if AA4 lets you save at any point, especially like the original. The 3DS version might. I'm just gonna quickly look at what the start button is. Side of the S key on the keyboard. Nope. Okay. So what we're gonna do is... Oh, do that. Let's do a save state. Okay. I did this yesterday is the thing. I literally did this yesterday. See, this is why playing the game before doesn't mean shit for Ace Attorney. It's already cold in April. Rocket. Something terrible? Strangling him to death. Did I don't think I pressed on this. Yep. Oh. Never mind. Oh my god. Okay, let's just press on everything. You were dealing cards. Do you do this often? Ah, I am doing this. The customer wishes that I serve anything. Borscht? Cards? More borscht? It is my work. It's good to hear of a place that hasn't forgotten the meaning of service. Welcome you to Borscht Bowl Club, where borscht is as warm as the waitresses. Thank you for not handing out flyers during the cross-examination. Press that. And unlock it to his neck. Okay. Yeah, because he doesn't have one. Uh-oh. I might have to call for help. Is it something with a card photo? Is it not? I don't think so. Are you just guessing or do you have the guide open? Because I know what I need to do next. It's that, yeah, don't guess. No backseating, only guiding. I know what I need to do, which is that, he doesn't have a locket on. He doesn't have one. But I'm missing that piece of evidence. This isn't the right evidence. Unless I'm forgetting how you get there. This is the problem with Ace Attorney. Present his profile. That's not it. Are you still guessing? Because that's not it. You very rarely present profiles in Ace Attorney. Okay, stop guessing! Stop it! I think even Ace Attorney, like, rarely ever lets you present profiles. Like, I don't have them here. I'm not allowed. Oh, wait. Never mind. Yeah. Never mind. Objection! Never mind. I got it. Oh, really? Strangled, you say? That's odd. Ah, normal customers only choke on borscht. No, I mean, this report shows that the victim died of a blow to the head. Ah! Miss Orley, really now? Did you witness the crime? Ah! Looking at the picture, it doesn't seem like he was hit. He's still wearing his hat and everything. Yet it is the fact that he was hit, Your Honor. There we go. Here's a photo we took of the victim with his hat off during our investigation. I even replayed this part yesterday and I forgot. Well, that's quite shocking, isn't it? This head certainly was hit! His head just did that. But I've seen it happen! The defendant, he lunged at victim, his neck! Oh, really, Miss Orley? I think I've caught you in your own lie this time. Justice. I admire your enthusiasm, but perhaps you should think this one through once more. But what do you mean? I found a contradiction! There's one thing in her testimony that troubles me. Very well. It seems we should continue the cross-examination. There's such a thing as thinking too much. This horse is dead! Let's stop beating it! There's such a thing as thinking out loud too much, too. Just my little cards. I know what to do now. What? Fucking lock it! There isn't one! How convenient of him to wear a v-neck. You know, there was one curious part in her testimony, just like Mr. Gavin said. But what does it mean? Mr. Justice, would you care to explain what it is you're thinking so intensely about? Recall the testimony, Your Honor. The victim played with his hand-on locket at his neck, I believe she said. I hope you aren't about to raise an objection to the witness's grammar. No, but look at this photograph. Do you see a locket on the victim's neck? Well done, Justice. I'm impressed. I knew you'd be able to handle this. But what does it mean? If we are to believe this witness's testimony as is, then the locket disappeared following the victim's death. But lockets don't just disappear, Your Honor. It's quite simple when you think about it. If the locket is gone, someone must have taken it off, no? Taken it off? Wait, you don't mean... The defendant wasn't strangling the victim at all. He was taking off his locket. Wouldn't that explain it? Ah! Defendant, what do you have to say to this? Say. Yes? I just noticed this, but... You have something hanging around your neck, don't you? Oh? You mean this? Yes, it's a locket. With a photograph inside. A photo of my daughter. Come again? Mr. Wright, you have a daughter? We confirmed it at the time of the arrest. The picture in this locket is indeed Mr. Wright's daughter. So, Mr. Wright is a locket too? Why don't I buy that this is just a coincidence? Well now, if the results of this poker game led to the murder, perhaps we should hear a bit more about the outcome of the game? Further testimony won't really be necessary. It's clear the defendant lost. Badly. Miss Orley, you will testify to the court about the game played between the victim and the defendant. Nah. The game began with I always want to say 300,000. 3,500 points in chips for each man. House chips come in two sizes, small and large. The one who was winning, was the victim. For last hand, defendant played with all chips on table and lose. The moment loss was decided, defendant grabs bottle from table and... Indeed, looking at this picture, it does seem to be a one-sided game. As the court knows, poker was the defendant's life. Failure must have been a bitter pill to swallow. How many times have I heard these words? I done it in a fit of anger, Your Honor, and now I regret what I done. A common tale, but true. He thinks the judge watches too many old court movies. Mr. Wright said he hasn't lost in 7 years, so this testimony must be wrong. What the fuck is... Points chips for each man. Let's have more information. Are those the usual starting points? Were any special rules used? No, not special. Usual game, usual rules. If each man began with 3,500 points, then the total would be... exactly 7,000 points. Please, this isn't calculus. It's not even long division. Small and large. Let's have more. Are the chips in this photo all the chips that were used? Of course! Something's fishy with these chips. Excuse me. Yeah, let's press harder. Maybe you could explain a bit about these chips? Explain? What is there to be explained? Poker chips are poker chips. They're not fish and chips, not a chip off the old block, not a motorcycle cop, not a... Thanks. Now that I've pressed her, I'd better ask something. What are these chips worth? Are they in dollars? Or rubles, even? Yet, as I've been saying before, it was a game, not gambling. Hard perhaps for capitalists to understand. 2 types of chip, 100 points chip and 1,000 points chip. It is not money, da? Justice? Sir! Don't you find her comment interesting? In more ways than one, sir. I'd have it added to her testimony myself. Well, does the defense want the witness to add that to her testimony? Yes. Yes, I do think this deserves further scrutiny. It's so bizarre to me that you can say no to extra information. Add it to the testimony. I wish I knew where I was going with this. Very well, witness, if you would be so kind. Your Honor. The kind is worth 1,000. 2 kinds in all. More. This testimony is important. To be honest, I have no idea why. Mr. Justice? Do the court in favor and think of what you want to say before raising your hand. You're not in kindergarten. Sorry, I'm fine. I better think of something to ask. And quick! The 2 types of chips. Nah? The small ones are 100 and the big ones are 1,000. Right? Right, of course. Huh! Don't waste our time. Ugh. I have an IGN guide from 2008 up because this is the gaming. Is that all? Yeah. Great. Mr. Captain made me stop her and now I'm the one who looks dumb. Oh, Justice? Please try not to embarrass me like that. Not who? Me? There's a clear contradiction in the information you have in your hands. What? It's a simple matter of calculation. Go on, try it. We're not in kindergarten after all. Calculation? Okay. Let's look at... Apollo sprites are really good. Yeah. Even just looking at it, if you assume that these are 1,000, you know that's wrong. You don't even have to do the math of it. It's better be the right place. You're sure it was the victim who won? Absolutely sure? It seems our new attorney is a bit confused. A glance at the picture is enough to tell you who won. If you're not in kindergarten... just for safety's sake, could you explain the problem to the court? Of course, Your Honor. In this photo, I see small chips and I see large chips. Tell me, which were worth 1,000 points? Why, the big ones, of course. Duh! Oh, I thought so too, but then the totals don't add up. Totals? Let's review what the witness told us. Each man started with 3,500 points in chips. And the combined total value of the chips was 7,000 points. Yes, if my calculations are correct. Let's see. 3 plus 1 create 5. They are, Your Honor. Now, look at this photo that allegedly shows all the chips. If the big chips are worth 1,000 points, and the small chips are worth 100, and you add them up, how much is it? Yourself, you aren't in kindergarten, are you? 10,600 points. The chips don't add up. This clearly contradicts the witness's testimony. These attorney sprites are all so good. Even like, the 3D sprites were like a little wonky in AE5 because it's like their first time doing 3D ones. More or less. But the 3D sprites in AE6 are like really good. I do miss the 2D sprites, but like the breakdowns in AE6, oh my god, they're amazing. They're just cutscenes, but they're awesome. But why? How could this be? Exactly, Justice. Now that you know the what, you must determine the why. The GGS sprites look amazing. The GGS sprites are so good. There's only one way possible way to explain the contradiction. Starting points are wrong, 2 points are wrong, both are right. Each man began the game with 3,500 points. If all the chips are indeed shown in this photograph, then there can only be one answer. I know I want to hold Herlock Sholmes so bad. Well, what is it? The value of the chips was the other way around. But what? Want to know what I think? The small chips were worth 1,000 points, not the big ones. Madness! Utter madness! Show me that photograph of the chips again. There's 6 small chips and 10 large chips. Why, that does make 7,000 points when you add them up. Excellent work, Justice. It's almost as though you figured it out by yourself. Well, I'm just glad I was the one who said it. But wait! The value of the chips may be different, but that changes nothing! Indeed, the victim did have the large number of chips still. This is like if you play with dimes and nickels. Because dimes are 10, and they're smaller than nickels, which are 5. The victim did have the large number of chips still. Ah! Exactly. If the small chips are 1,000 points and the large chips are 100, let's do a little math. Add up the points for each side of the table. Ah! The victim, Mr. Smith, had 2,900 points, and the defendant had 4,100 points. Well now. It seems that Mr. Wright was winning that night after all. That's impossible! The client had even less reason to kill the victim. After all, he was winning! Yarg! Now, Miss Orley, you must have known the true value of the chips. Since you were there at the scene of the crime, weren't you? Yee! Order! Order! It appears the defendant has lost his motive. Mr. Wright's supposed defeat never happened. We must now ask ourselves whether we can trust the witness's testimony. Excuse me? What is it, Miss Orley? I did not want to be saying this, but... Actually, you see, See what, Miss Orley? What do you see? In the last hand, there was cheat. Uh-oh. A cheat? You don't mean... a trick? Wait, or do you mean... a scam? They're all the same thing! Yes, there was cheat in last hand. That is why game ends with chips as they are. Great, just great. First we have lying, now cheating. Well, this case certainly has taken a turn. Pretty interesting. Witness, you will please testify to the court. Tell us about this cheating in the final hand. Let's go! Okay, this is like past the point of I played yesterday. I stopped here, because I was like, okay, the game's running fine. The last hand, both men had full house. There's 4 of each card in deck, from ace to king. If you look at both men's hands, cheat is more obvious. The next moment, game becomes argument. Ah! The defendant's trick was exposed! I keep hearing my fucking voice echo off this metal water bottle. Put that over here. It's distracting me. He took bottle in his hand. Poor Mr. Smith! Miss Orley! Why did you not tell the court about this from the very beginning? I thought I smelled a cover up here. Well, folks, it's time to throw back the covers! A full house is a very high-scoring hand. But not easy to make in my experience. That alone is enough to suspect less than scrupulous tactics. Mr. Gavin? What's a full house? Lawyers these days. You don't know your poker? I can't say this bodes very well for your case, or career. What is this, some kind of secret court poker ring? Justice. You know the terms 1 pair, 2 pair, and 3 of a kind, yes? Yeah, no problem. 2 cards of the same number makes a pair, and 3 makes a 3 of a kind. Good. Now picture a hand with 1 pair and 1 3 of a kind. That's a full house. That doesn't sound very easy to make, does it? It's pronounced scrupulous. Oh, okay. You can see each player's hand in the photo. Wow, they both have full houses! We forget, there's an easy way to make a full house. And go undefeated for 7 years. You cheat. The defense may cross-examine the witness. If he did cheat in the last hand, that still leaves one important question. Mr. Wright lost that hand. You guys ever heard of a professional con man losing when they cheat? I do appreciate it for assuming I know nothing about poker. Because I actually forgot what a full house was. I was like, oh, it's like 4 of the same one, right? No. The last hand, both men had full house. There's 4 of each card in deck from ace to king. If you look at both men's hands, cheat is more obvious. Okay, let's look. Delicious pixels. I think he's got 3 kings and 2 aces and 2 aces and 3 sevens. 7, 2, and either king or queen and 2. I've already forgotten what a full house is. The next moment, game becomes argument. The defense trick was exposed. Well, his hand, poor Mr. Smith. Serious competition. No, she says it was cheating. Notice anything odd? Her testimony keeps changing. Now she says the defendant cheated. Actually, yes, I had noticed that. Let's get the truth of this cheating first, shall we? Right, leave it to me. Alright. Time to press. Just how hard is it to make a full house anyway? It is quite hard, that. It is making a pair into 3 of a kind at the same time. I guess that's right. Very difficult to be sure. I think I've played poker one entire time in my life, and it was like fake baby poker that I played in like middle school with my after-school club. Take my word, as poker head of courtroom number 3. Very difficult, but it's not impossible. Okay, full house, hard. This line of questioning, a waste of time. Four of each card, you say? Yeah, there is 1 spade, 1 diamond, 1 heart, and 1 club for each card. It is an interesting fact that this number 4 comes from the number of seasons. Huh, you don't say. Did you know that the cards are numbered 1 to 13? Add all the cards in the deck and you get 364. A year! I didn't know that! Huh, you don't say. Isn't that 1 day short? That's true, it is a day short! That's why each deck has 2 jokers. Oh. Say the second joker stands for the leap year. Thus you have a perfect representation of the year, all in a deck of cards. That's cool. I forgot that. Huh, you don't say. We're going to be in this courtroom for a year if it keeps going like this. Shut up, Apollo, I'm interested. Cheat is more obvious. How was it clear? Well, the defendant... He played a 5th ace! A 5th ace? I still remember both hands very well. Okay. That's not what the picture said! Mr. Smith's handed 3 aces. And Mr. Wright's 2. Obviously, cheating was afoot, or perhaps I should say, a hand! Your Honor, perhaps this can be added to the testimony, without Mr. Payne's joke? Very well. The witness will add this detail to her testimony, please. Wahaha! Wahaha! No, the fuck it didn't! Look at this. Objection! It appears the witness is mistaken. Mistaken? But my name... Look, the piece of evidence clearly contradicts what you said in your testimony. That's the photo of the chips, is it not? Justice. Perhaps you ought to explain your point in a way that the judge can comprehend. Oh boy, here we go. In other words, use your finger to point out your point. Yes, please point out the contradiction in this photo. Okay. Miss Orley, in your testimony, you made the following claim. What the fuck is your shri? But as you can clearly see, the victim's hand only held 2 aces. Eh! Well, maybe the witness was simply confused. Perhaps it was the defendant's hand that held the 3rd ace in question. Objection! Take another look at the evidence. As you can see, the defendant also had 2 aces in his hand. Where's this 5th ace? I see cheating alright, and it's going on right here in this courtroom. Take a drink. That's not how you thought I'd take a stab at the word. I don't remember. Irsha? How is it? Eucure? Eucure? What? Two aces in each player's hand does make 4 aces total. What is this word? Hardly proof of cheating. Wait, please! It is true! I've seen it! The 5th ace! There was cheating, I swear to you! That's odd. She must be lying. She's the most sincere I've seen her all day. You're right to trust her instincts. Mr. Gavin? Who knows what lies in store for us in the trial ahead? Your Honor, if I may, I have a suggestion. What might that be, Mr. Gavin? If you don't mind, perhaps we might examine the actual cards? The cards? Mr. Payne? Yes! The players' hands that night were set aside as evidence, were they not? The defense would like to request that the cards be shown to the court. Very well, the prosecution will submit this evidence. Which will you examine? The victim's cards or the defendant's cards? These cards don't prove cheating was going on. Nothing will. Oh, which one of these hands is more suspicious? Well, the victim's hand is the one that has the contradiction. It's the victim's hand that changed over the course of the witness's testimony. The defense requests time to examine Mr. Smith's cards. I should have saved. Very well, Mr. Payne, if you would. Very well. Well, time's a wasting. Get to it, Justice. Yes, sir! Give me that. Give me it. Oh, boy. When examining evidence, be sure to view it from all sides and angles. Try using the dials on the evidence viewer. That should give you a better perspective on the case. Okay, let's do this. Burp. Burp. What? Your Honor, look at this! One of the victim's cards! The back is a different color! Why would no one else notice this? That's impossible! Why would they not notice this? It's a partner-based card game where you have to get the best card every round. That sounds terrible. Oh, is it like higher and lower, but you're playing against a human being? I love that you wrote joke even though you meant to say job. What was that, Miss Orley? I missed what she said. No, I really said I have Your Honor? No, everybody's bad at their joke job. Mr. Gavin, yes? Everybody's a bunch of fucking clowns. Tell me, what is the easiest way to cheat at poker? To cheat? I'll tell you. One merely needs a friend, a comrade, shall we say? The dealer. Wait, so you mean... I didn't notice it's not a troll case if it's not any apply. Yeah, but this happens throughout the game, too. Everybody's, like, terrible at their job. I mean, that's how the game works. It's also like a... Ace Attorney is like a comedy drama. It's like a dramedy parody of the Japanese law system, but... Wait, so you mean... This witness, Miss Orley... She's the cheater. A professional, I'd wager. Nyah! It looks like fucking lobster falls out of her bowl. Order! Order! Focus, Justice. Not to take advantage of her. I mean, of her mistake! Your Honor. Please recall the testimony we just heard. That's impossible. I put the card in Wright's hand. Oh, that's right, that's what she said. Ergo, Miss Olga Orley conspired to cheat, not with my client, but with the victim, Mr. Shady Smith. Oh! Not only did she cheat, she cheated poorly. Therefore, it's not hard to imagine an altercation between her and the victim. What? Wait, you don't mean the defense isn't accusing the witness, Miss Olga Orley, are you? Time for justice. There were 3 people in that room at the time of the incident. And if Mr. Wright isn't guilty, that means I am. Excuse me. The defense accuses the witness, Miss Olga Orley, of murder. Ah! There she goes. It looks like lobster. Mr. Payne, where is your witness, Miss Olga Orley? We got her! It appears she's lost, consciousness, Your Honor. Mr. Justice? Your Honor! It seems you presented a new possibility to the court. One suggesting a connection between the witness and the victim, Mr. Smith. And that means? This court cannot pronounce a verdict for the defendant at this time. What? Nope, not that one. I did it! I held out! I see no point in prolonging the trial this day. The prosecution will need to make further inquiries. Mr. Wright? Can't end the trial here, Your Honor. Not yet. What nonsense is the defendant spewing now? Think. What if the cards had a different colored back? Don't you wonder what it means? What are you doing, Mr. Wright? Raising objections right when you're about to get off the hook? Ridiculous! Mr. Payne, you of all people should know, Mr. Wright has a talent. Further ridiculous! My foolish king. Perhaps we should get to the bottom of things. Let's clear up the facts about the game that fateful night. As was said before, we alternated between 2 decks of cards that night. That was said before! The 2 decks at the club have different colored backs, blue and red. 1 color per deck. Why use different colored backs? If we use the same color, the 2 decks might get mixed. You used different color cards and they still got mixed up. We used the red deck for the last game. I see, but that's odd. For some reason, I had this impression that you were using the blue cards. Yeah, me too. I'm sure someone said something about blue cards. Whatever. In the end, 1 card of the wrong color got into the mix. Which means there was cheating. Yes, a card slipped into the deck would seem to indicate cheating. Yet, this card raises 2 serious questions. Apollo? Yes? Let's consider the first question, shall we? Think. In the last game, when was the card swapped? When? There are 3 broad possibilities here. It could have been swapped before the murder, during the murder, or after the murder. Well, yeah, thanks for the news bulletin, Mr. Wright! Of course it was swapped— Oh? It might be as simple as you think, Mr. Payne, or it might not be. I'd like to hear what Apollo thinks first. When do you think the cards were swapped? When was the card swapped into the deck? I've only got a photo of it after the fact. But it'd be hard as shit to do it during the murder. Perhaps it happened after the murder? What's this? Ridiculous! What's the point of cheating after the hands have been shown? That's silly! Yes, but tell me! How do you swap cards during the game? I'll take silly over impossible! Take it from me, son! There's a lot of silly in this world, but very little impossible! Oh, even when the backs of the cards are a different color? If you pulled that during the game, you'd be caught in no time, yeah, right? Ah, even if it's dark, you'd notice. Quite true. That would mean that the blue card in question was swapped after the hands were shown, after the murder. Okay, this is going past silly and straight on to crazy. I ask again, what's the point of cheating after the game's over? Who would do that? Who indeed? That's one of the mysteries before us. There's another? Yes. A simple, yet decisive question must be asked. Who swapped the red card for a blue card? Who? The game and murder is done. The victim is dead. Only 2 remain in that room. Alive, that is. The defendant, Phoenix Wright, and our witness, Olga Orley. Okay, so who was it that swapped the red card for a blue? Well, she... No, because she didn't... The one who swapped the cards wasn't Mr. Wright, of course. Well, it doesn't seem like it could have been Olga Orley either. What are you suggesting? That's hardly a logical conclusion, I'll admit. As a defense, I think it only makes sense for you to name Miss Orly at this point. Yes, I know! But she was the one who dealt the cards, right? I just can't believe she would make the mistake of swapping the wrong color card. Yeah, that doesn't sound right. And if the card was swapped during the game, it'd be obvious. Something you'd like to share with the court, Mr. Wright? Oh, my apologies, Your Honor. I was just thinking about how much fun this all is. Fun? How about confusing? I have no idea what the defense is claiming, Your Honor! If the one who swapped the card wasn't the defendant, and it wasn't Miss Orly, then who was it? Yeah, well, that is the question, isn't it? Precisely. I believe we're about to see this case take a new direction. A new direction? We'll find that, indeed, after the murder. Someone swapped one of the cards in the victim's hand. And that someone made two critical mistakes. I'm sure you're going to tell us that the first was swapping the wrong color card? Because the one who did the swap didn't know the two color cards were being used. The other mistake was the number on the card. Right. The person replaced the 5th ace with a king. I'm sure whoever swapped it wasn't expecting there to be a 5th ace after all. All they knew was that the game had been won with a full house. So they picked up a king from the table and swapped it in. But there's one problem. According to our case record, this person doesn't exist! True, not until now, but you have to admit the possibility of a 4th person. Though it's more than a possibility. There was someone else there that night at the scene of the crime. What?! I have to believe the judge spoke truthfully earlier. You do make trials ridiculous, Mr. Wright. That's what he's known for. Trials has proceeded to one central namely that at the time of the incident there were only 3 people in the room. I believe this new evidence, shall we say, overturns that assumption? The problem is that you chose to conceal this information from the court. I suppose that is a problem, yes. Court is adjourned for the brief recess. Mr. Gavin, I'll see you in my chambers during this recess. Why? Certainly, Your Honor. Very well. The trial will resume in 20 minutes. 20 whole minutes. Is my hot chocolate? Yeah! Hang on. I'm fighting with a lid. Right there. That was quite unexpected, Mr. Wright. To suddenly claim there was another person at the scene of the crime like that. I must ask, is it the truth? Yeah, I got hot chocolate and it's like Turtle's hot chocolate too. It's so sweet. Well, it's not that sweet, but you know. Well, fuck, it's not just chocolate. Is it the truth? It tastes a bit like how coffee smells, honestly. Well now, I think you'd know the answer to that. Being mysterious, are we? Sadly, I have no time for mysteries. I'd only ask that you lead the defendant to your defense in the future. Otherwise, I cannot guarantee the outcome. I see you haven't mellowed out one bit, Christoph. Justice? Yes, sir! The judge has summoned me to his chambers, so carry on without me. Bye. I'm out of here. You did well, Apollo. Can I ask you something? Sure. That locket you wear, is that really yours, Mr. Wright? You're wondering about the victim's disappearing locket? Here, you can take a look at it. That's a picture of my daughter in there. Yeah, show me it. Yeah! Look at her pixels. I'm just surprised to hear you had a daughter. Most people are. Perhaps you'll meet her one of these days. One more question. The one who cheated that night was you? What do you think? You know what happened 7 years ago? What I did? It's not unreasonable for you to think I might cheat. I never! Honest! But it is odd that he managed to go undefeated for 7 whole years. Want to know something? There's only one game where you can be dealt bad cards all night and win. Poker. You see, poker is all about reading your opponent. In that way, it's a lot like a court case. poker is like trial law? Figure out what your opponent is thinking, and you win. Well, yeah, but that's harder than it sounds. I think not. Nyeh. Try as they may to conceal it, everyone reveals their true thoughts in the end. Their body language can become a valuable source of information. You're kidding! That witness, for instance, Miss Orley. She would touch the back of her neck during certain parts of her testimony. Did you notice? No. Come on, who noticed that? Words, habits, twitches, it's all information for the reading. That's the secret to winning, Apollo. Someone taught me, and now I pass the secret on to you. But I'm not worthy! I mean, there's no way I'll pick up on these signals. No, you can do it. You just don't know it yet. What's he talking about? But you will, soon. Almost forgot. One more thing. About this case. You should know, I haven't told the truth to anyone yet. What?! I knew it! I have my reasons, of course. All shall be revealed. And Apollo, I need you to be there, defending me. I need your power. My, power? I had no idea my cursive skills were that special. At least it's not handing over a Magatama. I love how he was just like, here, Apollo, take this, and presses the stone into his hand. It's time. The real trial begins now. Do your best. Oh. Yeah. Start anytime to save your data. Yeah, and I can't press the start button. It's supposed to be S, but I can't bring it up. Waha! Let's keep going! Court will now reconvene. Has our witness, Miss Orley, recovered? Yes, Your Honor! Well, she's regained consciousness. Perhaps we can hear her version of the events again? That's the thing! You see, she's quite fatigued. You're looking a bit fatigued yourself, Mr. Payne. Sadly, fatigue is insufficient for grounds for refusing to testify, or prosecute. The defense would like to request that Miss Orley take the stand. Very well. The witness will take the stand. What's up? Perhaps you could repeat your name and profession? Or perhaps you'd rather admit that you're a poor liar and a poor loser. Not. I forgot she does this. I did forget she does this. Name's Oracle Orley, that's the truth. I'm a pro dealer. People call me Olga Quick Fingers Orley. Oh, really? Want to know something else? I'm not really Russian, and my last name sounds like oh really. There, that's the truth. I hope you're satisfied. Witness, you will tell the court what you were really up to that night. Fine, I'll talk. We had a plan, see? Let me remind you that you are currently under oath. Any further fabrications will have serious consequences. Fine. Like I said, I'm a pro. That guy, Smith, hired me to do what I do best. I was planted at the Borscht Boat Club several days prior to the night of the game. As a waitress. So you were in cahoots with the victim? Not that he needed my help. Smith is a well-known poker player in some circles. But winning wasn't the main purpose of the game. It was about destroying a legend, the unbeatable Phoenix Wright. The plan was simple. Elegant, really. You see, we set up a trap of sorts. It was to plant a card in Wright's pocket beforehand, and then deal 5 aces during one of their games. When their hands were revealed, Smith would call him out and search Wright. He would then pull out the planted card and the trap would snap shut. Use off the cards! Exposed as a cheater and losing on top of it. It would have made a great double play. Just like that, the legend would be dashed to pieces. Indeed. Getting caught red-handed at cheating would cast doubt on all his prior wins. 7-year legend destroyed by one little card. That was the plan. Wow. Oh, really, Orley? How droll. But it appears you made quite the mistake. A mistake? I agree, the trap was elegant. Yet, what happened to that planted card? Hey, that's right! He's lucky, I'll give him that. You'd have to be You'd have to be to slip free from trap laid by Olga Quickfingers Orly. Oh, really? The witness would be much cuter if she just messed with the evil mastermind shtick. Cute? Who wants to be cute? I'm not cute. I'm bad. You hear me? Bad! When you're through being bad, perhaps you could testify to the court? Tell us about this trap, and how it was sprung. I love her fucking dice headband, bandana. That night, I planted the card like I was supposed to. Wright lost the last hand, just like he was supposed to. Then Smith searched him. But the planted card was gone! The trap failed! The next moment, Wright picked up a bottle and swung it. It wasn't me who hit Smith, it was the no-good cheating defendant! A surprisingly frank testimony that still leaves us mostly in the dark. The trap was perfect, I tell you! Perfect! If that rotten cheater hadn't messed it up! Look who's talking! Well, the testimony, for what it's worth, is all yours, Mr. Justice. With witnesses like her, who needs criminals? Or with defendants like Mr. Wright, who needs prosecutors? Right? Wah! Let's fucking go. I don't remember this part. Let's farm her for information. This planted card. Which card was it exactly? The trump card. The 5 of hearts. Let me guess. Mr. Wright was to have switched the 5 with the ace to make a full house. Excuse me. At least that's what you were going to accuse him of doing, thereby ruining his legend. I slid it into Wright's pocket. When was this? Why, before the match, of course. While he was eating. At the Borscht Bowl Club, we serve borscht and suckers. I wonder what this little bun is. I want to eat it. I wish that my cursor would fucking... I mean, I guess if I turn cursor capture on. Suckers. Maybe never to go there. Of course, the card was to make its grand debut during the game. Like a good borscht, a good plot must be cooked up early out of the bag and let to thicken. It looks a bit like fuck, what are they called? A chocolatine. All I could get was the French name. But like, I guess it's more like a chocolatey, but like croissant shapes. Right left his hand, just like it was supposed to. So everything went according to plan. Yeah, pain au chocolat would have probably yeah, it's not that hard. Exactly. The 5th ace came up, so it's obvious the switch went off without a hitch. Once the extra card was found in his pocket, Wright would be forever known as a cheat and a fraud. There are worse things to be known as, I suppose. Tell us what happened with the search. Well, the planted card was gone. The trap failed. I'm special, so I call them that. That's fine, but you're also spelling it wrong. It's literally... I mean, unless I'm forgetting how to spell bread. I think it's literally just pain. But I could be wrong. I'm gonna Google it. I hate being wrong. Sorry to fucking put fucking Ace Attorney on rails. Yeah, pain au chocolat. Oh, where am I? Oh no, exposed. There you go. Trap failed! I think what you were doing was, pan with chocolate is what you were doing. I think is with, I don't remember. Doesn't matter, it might be of. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Blah, blah, blah. Spanish and French confused. That's valid, that's valid. Oh wait, I didn't press that, I don't think. The card disappeared? Yeah, my trump card, the 5 of hearts! Gone! Without a trace! Poof! Zippo! We searched every nook and cranny. Inside his cute little hat! Oh, even inside his cute little hat. What I wouldn't give to be in the room at that time. I'm fucking taking a man's hat off and being like, where's the card? The card was nowhere to be found, is this correct? Never in my long, storied career. Never had quick fingers oily be so readily duped. Oh, really? So, what did happen to the Five of Hearts? Don't look at me. Why don't you ask that cheating, lying, two-faced defendant? So, the Five of Hearts is still missing in action. The next moment, Rai picked up the bottle and swung it. More. Wait, isn't that a little odd? What's odd? You searched Mr. Wright thoroughly and found nothing? Which means he didn't cheat, which means he had no reason to strike the victim. Well... What was that just now? I sensed something. Something wrong, Mr. Justice? No, nothing, Your Honor. What should I do? Should I press her a little harder? Yes. Miss Orley, you're hiding something! What are you talking about? You... Me? Quick Fingers Orley, you hide something? The defense will refrain from baseless accusations! I have one question for the witness, then. You say you saw the moment the defendant hit the victim. Is this true? Of course it's true! I did see it, honest! I saw it while Wright hit him! With my own eyes, I saw it! What's this weird vibe I'm getting? Miss Orley. She would touch the back of her neck during certain parts of her testimony. Did you notice? Touching her neck, was it? Yes. Let's go! Let's go! Whoa, what's going on? This sensation, it's coming into focus! There, that twitch, it's so clear! It's like I could perceive her habit like I couldn't before. Yeah! God, I love this 34. Miss Orley, perhaps you're unaware of this yourself. Unaware of what? Whenever you get to a certain part of your testimony, you touch the back of your neck with your left hand. My neck? So what? What indeed, Justice? I hadn't noticed anything of the sort. When she says that part of her testimony, she's subconsciously recalling something. Her body reacts to the memory and she touches her neck. I'm sure of it. A memory? Would someone care to explain what he's babbling about? This is highly unusual, but let's ask the defense. You claim the witness is remembering something. Maybe you have evidence that- well, what was that? Okay, that was my service provider texting me. Go away, I'm busy. Evidence of this memory to show us? Her habit is scratching her neck whenever she talks about So, what will remind her most of the moment of the crime? Miss Orley, what was that? Whenever you recall the crime that night, you scratch... I'm fine. You scratch your neck. I've noticed it happens whenever you think about the moment of the crime. There must be some reason behind this habit of yours. I believe the weapon that left an inerasable impression to your neck is this. What is this? Perhaps the bottle. I assume it's the bottle. Nope. Yes. Whenever she talks about the moment of the crime, she touches her neck. And what reminds us more of that moment than this bottle, the murder weapon? But something doesn't fit. If you were only the witness of the crime, why would that make you touch your neck like you're in pain? What's he talking about now? It was Mr. Smith, the victim, who was hit. Not you! This is cross-examination, not a cross-wild conjecture. the witness's habits? They're completely irrelevant! Justice? I'll admit, I'm a bit confused myself. This is certainly a unique cross-examination. I'll explain later, just trust me. Now's our only chance to break her. Imagine if you, like... oh god, okay. Imagine if your fucking pupil, like, just suddenly started spouting a bunch of stuff and you're like, I didn't teach you this. What are you doing? Miss Orley, please testify in detail about the moment of the crime. The very moment! Yet, I am knowing nothing. We know you're not Russian. The witness will testify, please. Now. Fine! He's the one who did it. I didn't let him out of my sight until the cops got there. Different personality, but the same testimony. I believe you have your word you wander, Justice. Circumstances have changed and her testimony is not. That means there's gotta be a contradiction in there. Quite. Okay. I'd love to know what Kristoff is thinking, yeah. You seem uneasy. You try sitting up here. Her eyes are darting all over the place. I must be getting warm. Tell me, after the crime, what was the defendant like? Well, he must have been stunned by the weight of his crime. He sat in a daze at the table until the cops came. Intriguing. I believe you've gotten all the testimony you're going to get out of this witness. So, what do you think about her testimony? It's fucking not. Nothing. It's flawed. It's basically bogus. It contradicts the evidence. What's that? Well, show us the evidence, Mr. Justice. It's gotta be cell phone, right? It's evidence that you claim contradicts the testimony. You shouldn't let him recite until the cops got there. I know there's some evidence that contradicts that. My health bar flashing. Used by the defendant to notify the police. Please. Mr. Orley, we have a record here that clearly contradicts what you said. It states that the police were alerted by a report from the defendant. And we know that the defendant left the room, climbed the stairs, and made that phone call from the first floor of the Porsche Boat Club. Ah! So, explain how you kept your eyes on the defendant when he left the room entirely! Ah! Yeah, it's a lobster! Lobster. The man who picked up the bottle and swung it that night wasn't the defendant. Showdown time. You dirty cheat! Check his pockets now! It's gone! The card's gone! You lose. Ah! Just then, Smith grabbed the bottle from the next right. And he hit me! You, some master of cheating you turned out to be! Whammo. Yee! Yeah, I love the, like, the canvas overlay. When I came to, the victim was already dead. Is that it? That's why I couldn't reveal who I really was. If it came out that I was in the league with Smith, I'd be a suspect for sure. And yet here you are, a suspect. Well, where does this leave us? Madness. This is madness. I'm dreaming. It must have been me who was hit with a bottle, and I'm imagining all of this. It appears our prosecution is at his wit's end, and frankly, I can't blame him. Mr. Gavin, what do you think about this turn of events? I still love grape juice because not because it can't be lying, only because Shiitake likes it. Yeah, he just likes grape juice. I love for years it's like, oh, it must be wine. They censored it. No, it's fully just grape juice. I think it's specifically like sparkling grape juice, so it's like fizzy, which doesn't sound good to me because artificial grape is like the worst. Even like, I don't know, grape juice tastes bad to me. Mr. Gavin, sir? I believe that, as the defense in this case, we are compelled to call Miss Orley a big, fat liar. What?! 3 were in the room at the night of the murder. The defendant, victim, and her. And she has a motive. A motive? Her plot foiled, the witness got into an argument with her client, Mr. Smith. Your sparkling grape juice is pretty tasty. I smell a bottle of it every holiday. Oh. Well, I also, I can't drink anything that's carbonated. I really hate it. I actually literally, like, this is just a personal tangent. We have these, like, sparkling, like, I think they're, like, blackberry? These, like, berry juices, and my mom was like, oh, it's too bad that you don't like carbonated stuff, you might like it, and I was like, okay, I'll leave it out to get flat, and, like, it hasn't gotten flat still. I don't know if it will get flat, or if flat is, like, just less fizz, but anytime I'm drinking, I'm like, ah! I don't understand why people drink pop and, like, sparkling stuff, it's so bad to me. And it's not even, like, the tongue sensation, because I like spicy. But something about sparkling and, like, carbonated, I'm like, no, my mouth is not supposed to feel like this. When it's, like, fresh out of the bottle, I just spit it right out. I can't even swallow it. Never have, never will. That's the thing with me. And the denouement of that argument was murder. What? I'm no killer! It's a trap! Someone's trying to frame me! What tangled loaves we weave when we practice to deceive. So tangled, we cut ourselves in the process. Mr. Wright? Such a hasty conclusion. It's not like you, Christoph Gavin. What are you saying? Why not consider why not consider the other possibility? That there was a 4th person. Oh, he says another person in the room at the time of the murder. Right, like Mr. Wright was saying before recess. A single card was swapped into the victim's hand after the murder. And the one who swapped the card didn't know 2 colors of cards were being used. A 4th person. Ha! This theory again! Your 4th person doesn't exist! Indeed. That's why I decided to bring this case to court. Here, where there's no escape and no chance for deception. The perfect place to catch the real criminal. The real criminal? And we're in luck. Clue to the real criminal's identity was kindly provided for us. Right at the beginning of the trial, no less. What? Apollo, perhaps you know what I'm talking about? Sorry? Remember what I said. The 4th person who swapped the cards made one critical error. He or she they weren't considering the color on the back of the cards. Right. But how would such an obvious mistake occur? The cards used for the last game were red. Yet, there's one person here in our court who thought those cards were blue. Yeah, I had that impression too, but why? Well, Apollo, think you can figure out who did it? Who it was? It's not me, I swear! Sorry. Who is this 4th person? Why do I always get put in a spot like this? Let's hear what the defense has to say. Who was it? Who thought the cards used in the final game were blue? Wow! It was you, fucker! As I expected. Your eyes and ears are as sharp as your hair. I was right! Christoph Gavin, you were the 4th person that night. But of course Mr. Gavin knows the color of the cards! How would he? As you can see, the photo of the crime scene is in black and white. Why would it be in black and white? It was Laria. You can't tell which one of the cards are blue, the ones on the floor or the table. But look! You can see the colors in the photo! Yes, but when he said the cards were blue, it was well before this evidence came to light. It's true the defendant was enraged in the game of poker with the victim. Enraged, engaged, not enraged. Game, competition! Competition? It's a silent class of passions. Only the cards, the backstreet and blue flame know the final outcome. Well, Christoph? Mr. Gavin? Mr. Gavin, is something the matter? No, nothing. Excuse me, it was just so sudden. Right? You weren't seriously accusing me, are you? Oh, Kristoff? You know even I'd never take a joke this far. This has gone beyond ridiculous, beyond dumb. This is insanity! The defendant accusing his own defense attorney of murder? I assure you, I'm quite sane. But what possible connection could Mr. Gavin have to the victim? I wasn't aware that I had a connection to Mr. Smith either. Yes, but Mr. Gavin and the victim have never even met! Well, what if they have? Ah! There is a possibility, after all. They may have met that night before the game started. What are you suggesting? Is this the truth Mr. Wright was saying silent about? Well, only one thing to do. Mr. Wright, the defense would like to request that you testify to the court! The defense would like to request no such thing. Mr. Gavin? Testimonies must relate to the case. How could anything happen before the game? Well, how could anything happening before the game of poker be related? I'm not sure I follow, Mr. Gavin. As I explained before, the defense believes that Mr. Orley... Am I to assume you speak for Mr. Justice in this? He is the defense, not you. Good job, bitch. Mr. Justice, the matter of Mr. Wright's testimony is up to you. Oh, okay. Does the court, in your opinion, need to hear Mr. Wright's testimony? Yes! This was Mr. Wright's strategy. He was planning this all along. And I intend to see it through. The defense would like to request that Mr. Wright testify to the court. Eh, too, Justice? You would betray me, your teacher? I'm sorry, Mr. Gavin. This isn't about loyalty. This is about the truth. Very well. The defendant, Mr. Wright, will take the stand, please. Ace Attorney always lets you just say no. I don't even know what happens if you say no. I think you might just get like a game over or something. That evening, Kristoff and I had dinner. We sat at the table in this photograph. Shady Smith walked in 5 minutes after Kristoff left. Left! When the trap failed, Smith hit the waitress. Oh, it just loops you. Okay. Kristoff pulls out a gun and fucking kills you. The girl was knocked out cold and Smith was uncontrollable. I left to call the police. When I returned, he was dead, blood streaming from a cut on his forehead. I still don't get why he would die from this. That's when I made another phone call. The defense attorney, Gavin. Mr. Gavin! You were at the Birch Bowl Club on the night of the murder? I dine with him rather frequently. And he talked to the defendant on the phone directly after the murder? Quite against my will, I had become involved in a murder. I thought I might be in need of a lawyer, so I called him. You were planning this all along, weren't you, right? Just because you wanted to drag me into your little murder trial. The only thing I want is the truth. As I did back then, and now. I thought my office was doing you a favor when we took on your defense. It appears that I was wrong. It is a very mild bonk to die from. Cause like I feel like if you hit him hard enough to fucking kill him, the bottle would break, right? Unless it's like really, really, really strong bottle, but I doubt it is. Very well, the defense may cross-examine the witness. Justice? Sir! He's lying, and you're going to expose him. Understood, sir! Mr. Gavin versus Mr. Wright. This can't end well. Why can't I have a normal trial? State's attorney, bud. Everyone in this game universe dies at the slightest touch of it. That's true, everybody is made of paper. Everybody just fucking collapses the instant anything hits them. You had dinner with Mr. Gavin? Yes, he dines with me at the Birch Bowl Club quite frequently. We were enjoying a usual dinner at our usual spot, as usual. Usual? The exception of Phoenix, who— yes! Phoenix is— I think there's like, I think there's a trivia page on his there's a trivia section on his Wikipedia page about like every injury he's ever sustained. So funny. I always eat at the table closest to the piano. I see. where Mr. Smith was sitting. So the plates and such on the table were from your dinner? Yeah, it's a full list. Indeed, the remnants of my meal with Kristoff. We dined for 2 hours, then Kristoff left. After that, he's a little cockroach. Shady Smith walked in 5 minutes after Kristoff left. 5 minutes? So the... So the two of them could have passed in the restaurant during the time? That would have been a fateful encounter, to be sure. Oh, Mr. Wright. What was it you said? Kristoff Gavin and Shady Smith may have met? I believe I did say that. Here I was all nervous about this meeting. And now we hear they just passed in the hall? That does seem a little weak as a pretense for murder. Oh, it would be, if that was all that really happened. Come on, Mr. Wright. What are you hiding this time? Fucker. Smith hit the waitress. What this failed trap? This is the same trap that Mrs. Overoli mentioned? Let's play the card in Mr. Wright's pocket beforehand. Deal 5 cards during one of the games. When the hands will reveal, Smith will call it. Phoenix is so stinky, I love it. I am just sitting here playing this being like, oh man, I wish there was any noticeable difference between the two Sigmas. That's all I'm thinking of, because like there's such a clear difference between like Trilogy Phoenix and Ace Attorney 4 Phoenix. But yes, a harmless prank in essence. Just by a quirk of fate that I happened to discover it. A quirk? I happened to put my hand in my pocket, found a card. The card she planted! Right. Yes, I snuck a peek at it and found it was the 5 of Hearts. I had a feeling something might happen, so I disposed of the card. Before the game. Disposed? Where? There was an empty bottle of grape juice I had been drinking right beside me. Yeah, Beanma! Phoenix! Yeah, Beanma and Phoenix! Beanma. Wait, isn't that- I think that's what you guys called my Sigma eating beans art. Throw the card inside the bottle. An empty bottle of grape juice. The murder weapon? Yes, I rolled it up and shoved it in. The colored glass makes it hard to see. A battle of wits between the detective and the would-be deceiver. Not detective. It sounds like a terrific drama. Card inside the murder weapon? That's strange. Did the police miss it in their investigation? Maybe I'll take a look. Poker head of courtroom number 3 approves of this battle of wits. Please revise your testimony with this new information. Well, let's take a look. I'm sure it's gonna prompt me to eventually, but I don't know if I can look at it. Ball's completely empty. Has it been updated? No. It's fully grape juice. I discovered the trap during the game and disposed of the card in the bottle. Wow, one piece of Ace Attorney merch that's out there, or at least used to be out there, is like literally like branded grape juice. You can get Ace Attorney branded grape juice. The girl was knocked out cold and Smith was uncontrollable. I'll have to call the police. Wait, I keep forgetting to press. No. Objection! Hey! Mr. Wright, if I may? Yes? I've examined the bottle and I don't see any card in here. No? What, Mr. Wright? Surely isn't all you have to say for yourself? I can't say that I know what happened to the card. I did put it in that bottle, however. Huh? Perhaps a 5th person came in and took it out? Oh, and a 6th person could have helped! Mr. Gavin, Mr. Wright is your client! My apologies, Your Honor. I won't have you disparaging our investigation either. We looked inside that bottle. There was nothing. I drank it. So what's going on? Is Mr. Wright hoodwinking us again? Sip on that card. Or did the card just disappear? In any case, please continue the cross-examination. I'm afraid decisive concentrations call for decisive evidence. Oh! Push him harder, Justice. Break him! It's just you and the witness in the ring. Go for the KO! Ugh, why do I get the feeling we're not on our client's side anymore? You made the call to the police from the first floor of the restaurant, correct? Exactly. Cell phones don't get signal down the hideout. Was anyone else on the first floor at the time? Not a soul. It was the middle of the night, after all. So there, in the darkened restaurant, I called the cops. I thought this, like, the... There's, like, this, like, smoke effect down here. After making the call, I returned to the hideout. It didn't seem right to leave the injured waitress alone. Fuck. He's dead. Blood streaming from a cut on his forehead. And when you returned, the victim was already... dead, yes. I'll admit, I was a little startled when I walked in. They used dry ice piping into the restaurant. A little? He was bleeding from his forehead, after all. I guess I'd be startled too if I walked in on a scene like that. That's when I made another phone call to defense attorney Gavin. Well, Mr. Wright, if I may. Yes? Take a look at this photograph of the crime scene. See the victim here? He's wearing a hat. I wouldn't think you could see blood on his forehead. Good point. Justice! Next time you point out an inconsistency, put a little more oomph into it. Mr. Wright, can you explain this one to the court? I forgot to mention something. I was the one who put that hat on his head. Eh? I pulled up and hate that Phoenix was playing poker at a restaurant and he's wearing a hooded tracksuit. Oh my god, it's not Phoenix. You? You put the hat on the dead man's head? He wore it through our entire poker game. Taking a deep soft spot. After calling the police, when I returned to the scene, his head was in full view. Shining bright, just like in this photograph. And? I picked his hat up off the floor and put it on his head. Why'd you do such a thing like that? All I can say is, I'm sorry, but that's the only thing I touched at the crime scene. So, Miss Orley didn't see it? It being the victim's, his head. I'd think not. She was out cold. I believe I was the only one who witnessed his head. Here we go again. Mr. Gavin? Pardon. It just seems that our client is determined to lie his way through this case. Hey, he's still our client, isn't he? I believe that's enough of that. Mr. Gavin? This witness's testimony is more like a travesty. It's riddled with lies. I'm beginning to see how you came to lose your attorney's badge 7 years ago. Well, you certainly have a unique way of treating your clients, Christoph. I never knew. I believe it was you who threw the first stone. Mr. Wright! If you intend to ever tell the truth about this case, it's now or never! Don't be misled. I haven't told a single lie here. Eh? When I noticed the trap, I put the card in the bottle to dispose of it. And when I put the hat on the victim's head, let's just say I had a reason for doing that as well. A reason? That reason is right here. Your cell phone? That night, recall that I spoke with the defense attorney Gavin after calling the police. Just in case, I recorded our conversation. What's this? Now that we're all here, I see no reason why I shouldn't play it back for the court. Christoph, I seem to be in a bit of trouble. What's this? Game not going well? Something like that. The gentleman who challenged you, he turned out to be good? He turned out to be dead. Someone hit him. Hard. You mean someone cracked that flawless bone china plate? It wasn't you, was it? Me? Please. The guy should be here any minute. I'm in your hands. Should it come to that. Bone china plate? A kind of porcelain, very smooth and shiny. And not plate, but pate. Oh. I believe he was referring to a certain gentleman's balding forehead. The court appreciates the defendant's discretion in not indicating my forehead. Wait a second. Something's not right about that phone call. So, after Mr. Gavin ate dinner with you, he left the Borscht Bowl Club? Most certainly. Then, how did he know? When did he see his bone china pate? I don't know. Is it? I don't know how to pronounce that. Oh, that's right! Yes. That was when I began to see my good friend in a different light. Troubled, I returned to the crime scene. And when I spotted Mr. Smith's head again, I realized exactly what was wrong. Well, Mr. Gavin, the stage has been set. I go with pate, okay. Perhaps you would like to explain this to the court? I seem like plate, but with the L. But I also don't fucking know. Plate, pate, I don't know. Exactly how did you come by your privileged knowledge of the victim's head? So, this is your reason. The reason why you put the victim's hat back on. Your point, Mr. Gavin? It's come down to this, has it? Phoenix, right? Order! I will have order! Mr. Payne! Yes, Your Honor! I believe this court has been left with no other choice. Are you prepared to hear defense attorney Gavin's testimony? Well, as the prosecutor, Very well. We'll break for 10 minutes. After which Mr. Gavin will take the stand for cross-examination. Are we all clear on that? Crystal clear, Your Honor. Very well. This will be the final recess of the day. I am also going to recess and get a small snack. I will be right back. Oh, you don't have any music. Oh, here, hang on. Here, hang on. Mr. Gavin and Mr. Wright are both in the judge's chamber. Who'd have thought today would turn out like this? May I? I'm gonna wait till music plays. Huh? What? Hello, sir. Please pick a card. What's all this about? Is this one okay? Excellent. I have a message for you. The last hand is about to be played. You'll need a trump card to make it. A trump card? The card you have chosen is magical. Use it wisely and the game is yours. That's all. An ace. Where do I remember that card from? It's 5 aces. The 5th ace! Ow! Missing 5th ace. Wait, this spotch of red. Is this blood? Well, I guess you get to listen to hell music. So I'll be right back. I'll be right back. I need to get a snack. Forgot that when I tab what the music stops. No, I gotta switch the game. Okay. There we go. Wah! Alright, let's keep going. I wonder if, we might be able to finish this case and that can be the first thing. Maybe I'll go until I finish the case, because I don't think there's that much longer of it. I don't know. Just draw the truth. Fuck, Okay, let me get my fucking shit in order. Okay. My father's fate is in your hands. I know you can do it. This bloodstained card is my trump card for finding the truth? Please believe it or not. I fell deep into thought as my mind raced to understand what this all meant. That girl, I'd seen her recently, but where? That's when I made the connection. Bloody ace. No, Kristoff. Court will now reconvene. Defense attorney Kristoff Gavin, will you please take the stand? Hi. Now then, if you would, Mr. Payne. Yes, Your Honor. Will the witness state his name and occupation? Is this farce necessary, Your Honor? Believe me, far stranger things have gone on in this courtroom. Fine, I'll play along. First, there's one thing we need to have made clear. How did he know about the secret beneath the victim's hat? By secret, I'm guessing he means the fact that Mr. Smith was bald. Forgive my curiosity, but what is it about this fellow's head? Your Honor seems to have an inordinate interest in it. Hi! I wouldn't call it inordinate, Mr. Gavin. But Mr. Wright! What do you think you're doing, Mr. Wright? Wow, things sure look different from the other side. You know what I mean, Apollo? Speaking of looking from the other side, let's consider something for a second. The victim wore that hat all night, never once taking it off except for that one time. That one time being the instant he was hit! Oh! When Mr. Wright returned from reporting a crime, the hat was lying on the floor. Mr. Wright picked it up and put it onto the victim's head. In other words, in order to have seen Mr. Smith's bald head, you would have to have been at the scene of the crime, at the time of the crime. In other words, you'd have to be the real killer. Is what you're trying to say. Not bad, Apollo. Mr. Gavin? I'm afraid that I haven't been entirely honest with the court. What? Oh, I assure you, I had the noblest of intentions. I did it all to protect my client, Mr. Wright. Yet, I'm afraid the current situation is I'm afraid in the current situation I see little reason to hide anything. Very well. Allow me to tell you the truth of what happened that night. Finally! You may begin your testimony. Tell us, how were you involved in the events of that fateful night? The rage I sensed in that man that night troubled me, so I returned to the club. I went down to the basement and peeked through the little window to the hideout. It must have been right after the murder took place. The victim was dead as he appeared in the photo. A bald head, an unconscious girl, and Wright holding a bottle in his hand. I sensed that was not the best place for me to be at the time, and so I left. That's when the call came from Wright. So, you witnessed the murder? For better or worse, I missed the actual moment of the deed. Mr. Gavin, may I remind you that you are on Mr. Wright's defense team? Your testimony is clearly disadvantageous to your client. What else could I say? Whoop. I'm standing on the witness stand, after all. So you are, Mr. Gavin? And you had to testify, as you just did. You had to tell them you saw the scene of the crime through that little window. Mr. Wright? You had to say that. Because that was the only probable window of opportunity. Right, Apollo? Oh! Mr. Wright, the defense should do the cross-examination, not the defendant. Mr. Justice, are you prepared? Yes, Your Honor. Can't believe I'm going up against Mr. Gavin. This trial is getting weirder and weirder. That man, you mean Mr. Smith? Big day for little Apollo, yeah, big debut. He was different from the other customers. His aura, shall we say. I know he was a serious poker player, but it was more than that. So, then you knew the true nature of your client's job? Of course, but I also knew he wasn't engaged in gambling, which would be illegal. Well, it makes sense that he'd know. They were friends, after all. Worried for my friend, I returned to the club. You see, I feared this Mr. Smith might be someone's coming to settle an old score. I see. What happened then? The little window... You mean the one used to keep watch up the stairs? Yes, a relic of ancient past. The Black Marketeers used it, I believe. Why did he go through the trouble of peeking in through the window? Wouldn't it have been easier to just open the door and go into the room? I didn't want to upset Mr. Wright, you see. Upset Mr. Wright? Yes, what if my fears had been unfounded? I'd be walking in on their match. Bad form, to say the least. So far, everything he's saying makes sense. How do you know it was right after the murder? Really, no need to shout, Justice. I was just getting to that part in my testimony. Ah, there he is. The coolest defense in the West we know and love. Even when you're standing up there on the witness stand. Some things never change. I was afraid you'd change too, right? But you haven't. You and that overbearing personality of yours. Friends like these, who needs enemies? By photo, you mean the second photograph of the crime scene? Precisely. You see, he wasn't wearing his hat then. I saw his head when he was dead. And Mr. Wright came along and placed the hat. Can you describe the scene of the crime for us? What? Ugh. A bald head and a cut skull right on the ball of his hand. Oh, I didn't read it. As far as I saw, at least. And we're back where we started. The killer was the defendant, Phoenix Wright. Who else could it have been? But why didn't you talk to the police? 2 reasons. First, I didn't actually witness the very moment of the crime. Second, my office was asked to defend Wright. Even after seeing what I had seen, I couldn't abandon my friend. There must have been someone else there at the moment of the crime! Justice? I just said I saw no one. Not a soul. That goes against what Mr. Wright said! Ah yes, this mysterious 4th person. Who would conveniently be the real killer, I suppose. Glad to see we agree, Mr. Gavin. Let me pose a question, then. Tell me. What possible reason did the real killer have to swap the cards in the victim's hand? Perhaps you can show us a reason why such a thing would be necessary? How can I show something I can't find myself? Remember, Apollo, the card that was swapped out was the 5th ace. The 5th ace. Right. Well, Mr. Justice? The question of why the killer would swap out the card has been raised. Can you point to a reason? No, not yet, Your Honor. Not yet? Ah, pathetic! Not yet? Try not ever! Well, Mr. Gavin? Oh, I'm willing to wait for as long as it takes. Great! I don't even know what the heck I'm looking for! Apollo? Yes, sir! Don't forget, you already know the answer. You just don't realize it yet. I already know the answer? Take a moment to think it over again, okay? Not the best place for me to be to the left. Wouldn't it have been better to wait for the police to arrive? Remember though, by that time I was already Rice's defense attorney. It wouldn't do for me to become part of the investigation. That makes sense. Or does it? I'm confused. Yeah, being in the middle of these two cryptic fuckers. Well, what happens next? That's when the call came from Mr. Wright. It's going to be a problem for you to cross-examine your own boss. I'm fine! Who's at the top? We never pull punches across examination. It was you, Mr. Gavin. I learned it from watching you! I learned it from watching you! Okay. In the basement, let's look at the photo. I don't actually know where this window is supposed to be. Because that's like a cabinet. Do I have the, layout? Fucking of course I don't. That'd be useful. Nope! Nope! Press this already? Yeah, I did press that. Where were you when the phone call came? I had already left the Borscht Ball Club by that time. On the phone, he had asked me to defend him. Naturally, I was surprised. I accepted, however. I couldn't abandon him. So kind of you. So far, everything jives with Mr. Wright's testimony, I think. Blah, blah, blah. This? I did press that. Press that. Press that. Press that. Fuck. Did I press that? So I through the scene of the crime? Yes, as far as I saw at least. Back where we started. Yeah, I did this. Time to look at evidence then. Come on. Wait, I can just do this like here. Come here. Don't panic. Yeah, I'm trying not to. Not that. Time of death was around 2 AM, April 17. Death got up a single blow on the forehead. Let's check one for details. Herbal juice. Rice burns are upside down. Birthday investigation such as. I don't think I. No, it's not my first time playing this game. I've watched it once before. And I have been very slowly replaying it on my DS, but I'm bad with handheld because I only play handheld games when I'm sick, and I'm very rarely sick, so I think I'm still on like the second entire trial in my replay. So, definitely gonna far surpass this time. Yeah. I think I started replaying it like sometime last year. It was something like that. Imagine Apollo floating Phoenix is fun and playing Snake in the middle of a trial. Mr. Right, you got games on your phone. You got any games on your phone? No. I know that you're supposed to keep that to the end. That's all I really remember, but the back half of this trial is you're not supposed to show the card. I can check the timeline by this, can't I? Yeah. Sort of. Not much. Between 1:45 and 2:15. He's never set a time, so I can't use that. Ah. Just run after winter place takes. Just as he wasn't put. Aster, do you still have a guide open? Please no one else try to help me, only my mods are allowed. If not, I'm literally just gonna look one up. Yes, okay. Could you check what I'm supposed to do here? Because I am lost, and I don't want to just, like... I don't want to just try shit, because I don't want to just end up dying. Well, you don't die, but... You were meant to use the card here, no worries. Oh, okay. Present lawyer cookie. Ah, ba 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 ba. I think it was this? Now I have to remember which one it is. I do. I'm gonna... It's now or never! The defense would like to present evidence to the court. Evidence showing the reason why a card was swapped out. Then go ahead and point out your reason, Mr. Justice. Why did the killer take the fifth ace? There's blood on it. I hope this is right. Nope, not that! What's the back of it? Yeah, it's red. My reason is... this! Is that an ace? Why, it's got blood on it! Right next to the spade! What?! This is insane! Why wasn't I told about this? Why?! Could this be... Could this be the missing fifth ace? Inconceivable! How could you?! What are you doing with that card?! Well, that's the thing. Why is Mr. Gavin so upset? It's just a fishy card from some fishy girl. Oh, that card? It's mine. That is, I picked it up at the Borscht Bowl Club that night after the murder had occurred. I gave it to my daughter. Cards are her stock and trade, after all.
Objection!
No! Impossible! Unacceptable! The court can't accept this evidence! It's a fraud! A fraud? How can you be so sure? What? I would think the only person who would claim it was a fraud would be the one who took the real card from the crime scene. The real killer. God. Allow me to elaborate. What if this trace of blood was the reason? The reason for the killer to take the card from the scene of the crime. Where are you going with this? Take another look at the photo, and at the victim's head. At the moment of the crime, his hat fell to the floor, and a trickle of blood ran from his forehead down to the back of his head. Couldn't a drop of that blood have fallen on one of the cards? I suppose... The killer then took the card to hide the blood.
Objection!
Regardless, that evidence is non-permissible! Oh? Right, regardless of how you wasted the last 7 years, you used to be a lawyer! You know what a serious crime it is to conceal evidence! Oh, we can discuss the finer points of our legal system later. What's important now is that I've answered your question. What are you talking about? You want to know why the killer would have taken a card from the crime scene. And now I've told you. That one drop of blood would have been decisive evidence, you see.
Objection!
This is baseless conjecture! Baseless!
Objection!
Oh, I assure you it's quite based. What? It's amazing, really. How a single drop of blood on a single card can lead us to the truth. It's quite simple. Well, Apollo? Yes? Try picturing the scene of the crime. In your head. Yeah, here we go. Let's fucking go! Technology! The murder took place in the hideout. The body of the luckless victim was found at the poker table. And, before the killer swapped the card out, there was a single card with a drop of blood on it in the victim's hand. Given this, there is one decisive problem with the scene. Well, what is it? Let's keep it simple, shall we? Given that there was a drop of blood on a card, whose position in this diagram doesn't fit? The victims? The killers? The witnesses? The second witnesses? Whose position doesn't fit with the bloody card? I'm pretty sure it's the victim. But it could be a killer. Well, isn't it the victim's position that's the problem? I don't follow your logic here, Mr. Justice. Well, look, the victim was struck on the head, sending him back in his chair. You'd think any blood would fall behind the body, not on the table in front of him. Ah! Take a look at the photo again. If he bled in this position, the blood would fall on the floor, not on the cards. Why, that's right! So, what does this mean? Incidentally, we were sitting in swivel chairs. Swivel chairs? Oh, man. Apollo, try turning the chair around. Okay. The chair was facing the other way? It would have to be. So, we have to assume that at the time of the murder, the victim's chair was facing away from the table. When Mr. Wright returned from informing the police, which way was the chair facing? When I came back to the room, the body was facing as seen in this photo. That would mean the killer turned the chair back around. Let's take the next step. Look at the diagram once more. We know now the victim was facing away from the table at the time of the murder. But this creates another significant contradiction. Again? Let's test your reasoning skills again, shall we? Apollo, whose location on this diagram contradicts our new understanding of the crime? The victims, the killers, the witnesses, the second witnesses? Whose location creates a contradiction if the victim was facing away? Him, because you said he saw his egg. What doesn't make sense is the second witness. You mean to say I don't make sense? Oh, no, of course you do, sir. As I thought. Help. Shit. I fucked up. It's the killer, then. Oh. You was just say something? Would you be kind enough to show the court one more time what you mean? Yep. Whose location? It's the killers. There we go. The victim was struck from the front, correct? Indeed. Well, wouldn't it be hard for the killer to hit him from the front? Sitting where his indicator currently is? I would think it'd be quite hard, yes. Yes, but what you're saying makes no sense! Why would the victim suddenly turn to face the wall in the middle of a game? I believe a sufficient reason will soon come to light. What? There's something in this diagram that makes far less sense, actually. Look again at the diagram. Apollo, if the victim was struck while he was sitting as shown here, where would his assailant be standing? Try marking out on the diagram. Ah! But there's no room to put a mark where the killer should be. Don't worry, let's think it through and see what we find. We know the victim was facing toward the wall at the time of the crime. That's the only thing we know for sure. Try to forget about everything else. Where were the killer to be standing to strike our victim on the front? The killer had to be standing, well, here! You get points for flair, but that's about all you get. I thought I was onto something there, too. I hardly need to point out what's standing there would be impossible. The victim is facing a solid cupboard. Or are you claiming the killer claimed the cupboard and hit from above? Ha! It's a simple logic, really. If this was the only place the killer could have been standing, then that means that, at the very moment of the crime... Wait! I know! At the moment of the crime, the cupboard wasn't there. What's this now? I mean, that's the only explanation, right, Mr. Gavin? Your Honor, I have a suggestion for the defense. We should arrange to examine the cupboard in the hideout immediately. Bailiff, send a team to the crime scene immediately. Have them try to move the cupboard. Your Honor? What? There's one more thing your men should look for. Please give this to the bailiff. Yes, I see. You do belong in the courtroom after all, Mr. Wright. I do my best. Let's forge ahead here while we wait. Look at the diagram once again. It's been changed. If the killer was standing here at the time of the crime, then this cupboard wasn't here, which means... Apollo, try moving the cupboard. Thank you. I do wonder what they're physically doing when they do this, because isn't this supposed to be just like in your brain space? As you can see, the cupboard was the problem. At the time of the murder, it has to have been as shown here. I don't know, I can't know. I mean, I think they do have like a physical one, but I don't know what he's like doing to it. Now, everything is in place to reconstruct the moment of the crime. Oh my! What's this? What is it now? Look at the diagram of the crime scene once more. It appears we found yet another contradiction. What I believe to be the final contradiction, in fact. Oh, dang! Notice something, Apollo? Our line of deduction is rapidly approaching its logical conclusion. Now then, Mr. Justice, please point to the new contradicting indicator. Is it the victim, the killer, the witness, the second witness? Felix presenting the diagram for the 500th time in the row. You fucker. About this cupboard. Are we all okay with assuming it was moved? Sure, why not? Well, if it was, something really doesn't fit. This cupboard would be completely... Whoa. This cupboard would completely cover up the window to the stairs. Yeah, Phoenix isn't even the attorney here, and he just took it over. Ah! That's right. Someone standing outside wouldn't be able to see in. Someone like Mr. Gavin. What did you say? Oh? Is the coolest defense in the West losing his cool? Don't expect me to play along with your little game, right? It's only a game until someone gets killed, Mr. Gavin. And someone was, while the window to that room was blocked by a cupboard. So, Mr. Gavin, perhaps you'd like to explain to the court. Exactly where did you witness the crime scene from? Excuse me, Your Honor! Order! This is a court of law and I will have order! We just now received word from our investigative team at the Borscht Bowl Club. They've examined the cupboard in the hideout, Your Honor. Oh? And what did they find? Well, Your Honor, it turns out there was a secret passage behind it. What? Ah, yes. I believe I mentioned something of the sort before. This is one of the tricks to the room many of our regulars know about. I do remember saying something about that now that he mentions it. A secret passage is a handy thing to have when you're engaged in illegal goings-on. I don't see why they would keep this active. I mean, I guess because it's cool and everyone's like, I want to see a secret passage, I want to see a secret passage. You never know when you might need to duck away from the eyes of the law. So the room is a secret passage. Where does it go? The other side connects to the restaurant above. The underworld bosses could get away from the cops. And enjoy a cold bowl of borscht, no doubt. Just like our killer. See where a line of simple deductive reasoning has led us, Apollo? I see it, but I don't believe it. That girl wasn't kidding when she said I needed this trump card for the last hand. At the time of the murder, the window was blocked and the victim's hat was only off his head for a few minutes between Mr. Smith's murder and Mr. Wright's return from calling the cops. I love that they keep saying cops and not police. In other words, the only place anyone could have seen the victim's bald head was from inside the hideout. Well, Mr. Gavin? Come on, say something. Dare I ask what really happened that night? Actually, I think we can probably figure it out ourselves at this point. That night, for whatever reason, our killer had a date with Mr. Smith. A date with Destiny. There he crouched, hidden in the secret passageway behind the cupboard. Holding his breath, waiting for just the right moment. Then the chance came, and he took it! Ah! Why did you do that? Wait here, we'll get help. That would have been Phoenix. So Olga was out cold, struck by Mr. Smith. But his time was soon to come. Mr. Wright went upstairs to call cops, leaving Mr. Shady Smith alone in the hideout with the unconscious dealer. Then our killer stepped up from the secret passage and into the hideout. The victim must have heard the cupboard sliding aside. He wheeled his chair around to look, and... after the deed was done, the criminal must have seen the blood on the card. He would have, of course, realized then to destroy the evidence. That single spot of blood told the whole story of the crime. Too bad for him he didn't linger any longer in the hideout that night. If he had, he might have noticed the cards on the floor. And the fact that they were all red. Ugh. Well, it seems this trial is taking yet another turn. I'm truly sorry I had to see this day come, Mr. Gavin. All the sprites in this are so good. They did so good perfecting like the 2D sprites by AA4, and then they just stopped using them. They do use them in investigations, so that's good. The sprites in investigations are very good. And I think the only other time they use the sprite style is in Rise from the Ashes, because it was around the same development time, I think. If I remember correctly, if I remember my years correctly. Mr. Gavin? Mr. Payne! Yes, Your Honor? The prosecution will continue its investigation. As for Mr. Phoenix Wright, the defendant, he is hereby cleared of all suspicion. Ah! Believe me when I say that I don't believe this is happening, Mr. Gavin. But I'm afraid circumstances call for me to issue a warrant for your arrest immediately.
Objection!
Oh, no need to apologize. I rather enjoyed myself. It's not every day you get to witness a legendary attorney's dirty tactics firsthand. Point, Mr. Gavin? Frankly, Your Honor, I'm shocked. that a person of your caliber would be taken in by such a low-grade parlor trick. Excuse me? The defendant is cleared of all suspicion? This is hardly the time for jokes, Your Honor. Mr. Wright hasn't proven anyone's guilt or innocence here. What he has done is use illegal evidence to put the blame on someone else. And not just anyone else, but me, his own defense attorney. Illegal evidence? Let me ask you, Mr. Gavin. Is there still any reason at present to suspect me of any wrongdoing? Of course. This bottle, for instance. The bottle of grape juice Mr. Wright was drinking? How do you intend to explain away the fingerprints on the murder weapon? And not just any fingerprints. Am I right, Mr. Payne? Actually, yes. The fingerprints on the bottle were, upside down. I seem to recall this being an issue earlier. The court, and this case, demand an explanation. I can think of only one reason why one would hold a bottle upside down. And that is to hit someone with the bottom of the bottle. Wait, did he Wait! Am I supposed to be imagining this as him, picking up the bottle and whacking him with the bottom of it instead of hitting him with the side of it? That makes even less sense for why he died from that. I mean, maybe? I don't know. I don't know how heads take bottle trauma. See how the codfish squirms to the last. Well, Apollo? Yes! Your boss seems awfully concerned about this bottle still. But I'm sure you can come up with a suitable explanation. Just like that. Yeah! Just like what? Why would anyone grab a bottle upside down over it's a... Don't let him trick you into thinking his explanation is the only legitimate one. Is there really another? Take another look at the court record. I believe you'll find a simple answer there, in plain sight. How about you just say the answer in plain words? The implication is he held it at the neck and hit with the wide bottom like a bat. Weird? Okay. Be hasty to deliver a verdict with unanswered questions indeed. I guess that would make more sense, if you're standing right in front of a person, I just stab him with the bottle, basically. Knife gesture. Well, Mr. Justice? Mr. Gavin said that the court and this case demand an explanation. Don't worry. Justice won't leave until justice is done. Perhaps the defense would care to enlighten the court. What evidence do you have to explain why the fingerprints of the bottle are upside down? It's this picture, right? Look at these. Look at all these bottles. It's actually easier to show you than explain, Your Honor. Place that bottle on the floor next to your chair. Excuse me? On the floor? He's in a high chair. Yes, now reach down and pick it up. Without getting out of your chair. Ah! See? You naturally go to pick up the bottle by its neck. With your fingers upside down! Look at this photograph taken on the night of the murder. The defendant, Mr. Wright, sat here, playing piano, bottles of grape juice on the floor to the side of his piano bench. He would have naturally picked up the bottles upside down several times. Wow, I can't believe it was that simple! Recall our dinner that evening, Christoph. I was drinking my usual juice then, too. Basically, you used the bottle on the table to do the deed. But then you must have remembered. So you went and picked up one from the bottles from under the piano. And you switched the bottles. You took one of Mr. Wright's bottles and made it look like the murder weapon. Order! What do you have to say to these changes, Mr. Gavin? Charges, no changes. Fascinating. So this is the legendary attorney's famed tactic of misdirection. What? You claim that I switched the bottle? Where is your proof? Proof? Well, that's, as I thought. More baseless conjecture. I'm afraid your bottle of proof is quite empty. Objection! I wouldn't be so sure about that. Your Honor? When you initiated the investigation of the hideout earlier, do you recall requesting an additional investigation? Yes, I have your memo about that here. Retrieve the bottles from under the piano at the Morse Bowl Club. And here's one of the bottles in question. What, are you going to dust that for fingerprints too? I'd be surprised if any were on that but his. Mr. Capcom probably wouldn't make such a novice mistake, true. I love that he's like, yeah, my boss would never forget to wipe his fingerprints off of a murder weapon. Oh, where am I? I thought I won't bear a trace of anything. Say, Apollo. Yes? Why don't you go ahead and examine that bottle? But why? Just humor me. Mr. Wright. The bottle will solve the case once and for all. What? That's some bottle! Let's go. Let's go. Fuck. Go. Yeah, look at this. We've got a card. There's something inside this bottle. What's this? It's that card! It can't be! Recall that unpleasant woman's testimony for a moment. Miss Ogorli? Yes, our little swindling Devochka. That night, I planted the card like I was supposed to. And Brett lost the last hand like he was supposed to. Then Smith searched him! But the planted card was gone! The trap failed! Wait, this isn't... You're telling me that this is the planted card you disposed of? That one you mentioned in this piece of testimony? How do I hand a pocket and find a card? Snuck up, you get it. That's 5 hearts. Knew something would happen, so I disposed of the card. Disposed. Bottle. The 5 of hearts. This is the card. The bottles are swapped. And the only one who could have done that was the 4th person in the club that night. You, Mr. Christoph Gavin! That is all. Yeah, I love that the food was still on the floor. Clean up your fucking courtroom. Is this your idea of revenge, Phoenix Wright? Revenge? Revenge for the events that took away your attorney's badge 7 years ago! My past is like my logic, straight and true. Nothing's changed. All I did was point the finger of justice in the proper direction. Fine. I'm glad we could have this little tete-a-tete, right? This is insane! What about me? Don't I get to prosecute anyone? I believe this time we finally come to the end of our trial. Mr. Payne, do you have a report for us on Christoph Gavin? He's admitted everything. We're prosecuting his arrest now. Processing. I see. Still, one has to wonder why he would do such a thing. He didn't even have a connection to the victim, did he? Nothing that we know of. Mr. Wright, have you anything to add? I'm afraid I can't shed any more light on the matter. About this victim, Mr. Shady Smith. His occupation was listed as traveler. An odd profession to be sure, but that's all we know about him. I'll arrange a follow-up investigation, Your Honor. Good. Mr. Wright? Yes? 7 years, and you still haven't lost your touch. Christoph Gavin was a man with much significance for me, both as a friend and a lawyer. He was extremely talented, to be sure. I needed 2 things before I could confront him. The first was a place where no injustice would be tolerated, this courtroom. The second was a man who would tolerate no injustice. In other words, a defense attorney. You, Apollo. Me? A dark time is coming for our legal system. A twisting of justice brought on by our very own court system. We have to set it right. Mr. Wright? Our work lies ahead of us. And I, for one, am looking forward to it. Well, this seems like a good time to announce a verdict. This court finds the defendant, Mr. Phoenix Wright, not guilty. Yeah. Court is adjourned. Dude, it's 4:20. Thanks, Apollo. You came through just like I thought you would. I'm pretty sure I didn't do a thing in there. It was you who cornered Mr. Geff, the killer. I couldn't have done it by myself. Shut up, bastard. You sensed it too today, didn't you? Your ability. Ability? Yes. A sensitivity I lack. I can't understand it soon enough. Wait, I wonder if he means... What's this weird file? I'm getting. What was that, Mr. Wright? You have to find the answer to that question yourself. The answer... Right. Today was full of questions without answers. Most of them of Mr. Gavin. What possible reason could we have to commit murder? Oh, he, not we! Perhaps you'll learn that in the days to come. Huh? Wait, you don't know, do you? This locket is the key. Huh? Oh, that reminds me. I meant the girl whose picture is in your locket. All those crispy pixels. Your daughter, right? That's right. She's my daughter. You know, you were right about this locket. Eh? I took this off the neck I took this off his neck the night he died. But it looks like our dear Russian scam artist saw me. So the truth is, this locket really did belong to him. Wait, but that's perjury! You testified! You said that locket was yours! I said no such thing, actually. Huh? I merely said that it was a locket with my daughter's picture inside. A subtle distinction, but a distinction nonetheless. It was the truth. Wait, but then why? Why was the victim wearing a locket with a picture of your daughter inside it? Sometimes the straightest path to the truth isn't the best one. Give it time. You're still just getting started with your career. Speaking of which, I may be out of a job. I work for the Gavin Law Office after all. I still can't believe I just saw Mr. Gavin get led away in handcuffs. Apollo. Yes? How about coming to work for me? Eh? You mean at the Wright & Co. Law Offices? I mean, there's not a single attorney in my generation that doesn't know it. Can't imagine that to be true, but... Wait, but didn't you... You're not a... Oh, I turned my badge, yes. Not an attorney anymore. That incident 7 years ago. That legendary trial. And at the middle of it all was one man. Phoenix Wright. The case reached its sad conclusion and he left law for good. Have you ever thought about coming back to the courts? I'm not qualified to stand in a court of law, I'm afraid. Didn't you notice in today's trial? There was a single piece of forged evidence. Forged evidence? What are you talking about? I'm talking about evidence that shouldn't have existed. A naughty magician's trick. One piece of evidence struck me as odd, it's true. It just seems, well, too perfect. I'll bet this was the forged evidence. Yeah. Come here. You mean this, don't you? I got this from your daughter, Mr. Wright. Yes. That card couldn't have been found at the crime scene. Why? Because the killer took it with him when he left. Leaving the wrong card in its place, luckily for us. We can't accept this evidence. It's a fraud! Fraud? How can you be so sure? I think the only person who could claim it was a fraud would be the one who took the real card from the crime scene. The real killer. Oh, you got me! My verdict was already handed down 7 years ago. Then you really? Yes, I forged this card. One look at the crime scene should have told you it wasn't real. But you can't do something like that and call yourself an attorney! Who's calling themselves an attorney, Apollo? So it's true! The rumor is true! 7 years ago! None of that matters much now, does it? Ah! I punched him. It's your story from here on out, Apollo. Perhaps I can help you turn the next page. My office's address. Drop in if you like. Mr. Wright. Oh, about your uppercut. Try yelling, "Take that," next time. I find it packs a little more punch. And Apollo, thanks for today. I had a good time. Peace. Yeah, if that was anyone else, Apollo would have fucking killed him. And with that, Mr. Wright walked out the door. And that's how my first trial ended. A lot of mysteries went unsolved. And at the time, I had no idea they were all related. Every mystery that day connected by a single thread of logic. I'd find that out soon enough. My name is Apollo Justice, attorney at law, and this is how my story begins. Yeah, he just fucking leaves. He got decked and he left. Yeah. Wow. Can you let me save my game before I have to... Fuck. Yep. Please don't autoplay the next one. Thank you. Okay. I'm gonna pop a burp just in case. Okay. Okay. That's gonna be I'm gonna end here because I don't want to start up the next one and be like, okay, we've played for half an hour. Now it's time to stop. We'll start the next case next week. Since I know that it actually plays correctly, I'll start at the correct time and not early. So it should be around, for me it's 11 a.m. I don't know what my Twitch my Twitch schedule displays local time, so you can always check it yourself to see when it starts for you. I'm still streaming at the bad time, still streaming at the morning bad time. But once it starts warming up, and like probably once it gets into summer, so like in a few months, I'll probably be able to stream it at night again. It's just that it's cold, so no one's going anywhere. And I don't live alone. So I can't just scream and shout. But yeah, I hope that was enjoyable. I look forward to continuing this because Ace Attorney 4 is my favorite one. And I'll see you all next week. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for watching the VOD for anyone that wasn't here live. I'll see you next time. Bye!